Commissioners.
Hey Frank, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Steve coming?
He's, they had 3 back-to-back runs, they're going to take a run to the ER.
The other one over.
Just waiting on Houston. Take the water back to the common rest of the point run if you want one. Rich, so from the boil water advisory. Shoot, she good. Turn up the mic.
Hello. Hello. No.
Hello.
Hello. Not very good.
Testing.
No volume, right?
I'm getting nothing in the room, but it's in my ear.
Okay, so it's streaming that way, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's what we'll have to go with.
Testing.
All right, so we'll get started.
Okay.
Just wait, Lisa's on her way. So, welcome everybody to the April 19th meeting of the Bruce Township Board of Trustees. Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay,
Here.
Philbrook,
Here?
Giorgio,
Here.
Crafty, she's on her way, and Kraft here.
And the fire chief's on a run right now, so he'll be here shortly. Do the pledge of allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as we get started, does anybody have any agenda items that they either want to add or issues with the agenda before we go ahead and approve the consent agenda?
I got some questions, if you don't mind.
You want to, is it regarding adding something or is it taking anything off?
It has to do with the check register.
Why don't we, I got a couple things we got to add. Why don't we,
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and add them?
okay, so, I'd like to add to 7J would be, well, again, this is the wording change on ordinance 161-0220-23 on the physical health fitness. We're going to change that wording on it. Mike, you're going to take that, but is that going to go under unfinished business then?
Didn't we just do that at our other meeting?
No. It went back to the planning commission.
Oh.
Made a recommendation to approve what you guys had suggested.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I didn't,
So
real
old
easy.
business.
Yeah, Yeah.
It was a matter just,
Unfinished B?
unfinished B. And then item 7J, I would like to add the limestone program.
Technically, we don't have to because it's already been approved in the budget. You can go to communications.
You want to put on a communications, I'm fine with
That's
that.
up to you.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question.
On the
Good
limestone
evening,
program.
everyone.
Communications, yeah, I had a note they have to.
So you want to put under J?
Sure we can. Did you have, you said you have a
Jay?
copy of the limestone? Teresa?
Hey guys, happy birthday, Mike.
Oh, happy birthday.
It's not,
Wow.
You should wear a thigh and have to say happy birthday.
I would, if I would have had time, I would have brought a cake for you, or at least a cupcake.
we have a piece for you. Okay.
So what have we decided, J?
We'll talk about our 7J. We might as well go ahead and approve
Wait a
the,
minute. We already got it, Jay.
Because the ordinance went under computer.
Oh, I see. JK. Oh, wait, we got an L already.
Oh, right.
So it'll be an M, right? Would it be an M?
oh, that's an M.
So that'd be limestone?
Okay. Mike, you had some questions regarding approval of financials?
Yeah, I would have asked him earlier, but I just got back. On the check register, page 1, the first item, there's an accident fund company audit adjustment for $50,000. You know what that is?
Excellent fund, is that anything to do with
That
that?
was insurance payment. That was, yeah, it cleared, the check cleared. That was, I think,
It was just a
insurance payment.
description that says audit adjustment. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means in the insurance business?
An adjustment, it's
Audit
usually,
adjustment? I don't know.
it's usually, like for, in the insurance world, it's usually an adjustment for a past premium that was paid, because premiums for a policy are usually paid in advance. And like if an employee or somebody was terminated, or there was a change in plans, then it's usually an adjustment, but it's usually a credit, or if they underpaid, then it's, you
Well,
know,
it's an
an additional
adjustment.
charge.
Of additional money, 50.
Okay, so then you didn't pay for something, and I don't know what that is.
Okay. Then the other one I had is the last line item on that same page. 33 Mile Road Industrial Park condominiums, $20 for distinguished industrial apartment.
So those are part of the, that's a T&A balance that's due back to them after everything's been paid out?
What's the
So,
distinguished industrial park, which one is that?
That's Cordy.
So this is for one of his,
Units 4 and 5 on Cordy, 4 and 5 are complete.
so this is T&A balance refund.
Correct.
Okay. Page 3. Ambulance repair, about the middle of the page, 55 grand. Kodiak, emergency vehicles, 2014 ambulance repair, do we know what that is? Mike, are you aware of
That
that?
was the one
I
that
did
was-
know where they took the ambulance down to Ohio, and I can't recall exactly what the,
Isn't that the one that was run into?
yeah, there was,
So is that like is that something the insurance would have taken care of?
we had 2 of them. There was one down there being repaired, and then the other one had the body work that needed to be done. We have to wait for the chief to come back to clarify exactly what the payment's for.
So you've got a list of items in question.
Yeah. And then there's one there for bunker gear near the bottom,
For
2,977.
Alfonsi and Casper, I think it was.
Let me see, where's that bunker gear?
So again, I'd prefer to have the chief answer that, but These are both veteran firefighters that we've had on the department. I'm not really sure, but there's a possibility that their current gear may have expired as far as past its expiration date and had to be replaced. So it may be, I was cleaning it.
Come on in, chief, don't be shy.
Oh, we're talking about you right now. The bunker gear for Casper and Alfonsi, having to replace their gear, their gear get expired and terminate past its longevity date. And we had to buy new gear for them.
Yeah, I think Mike's has been ordered for a long time, I think we just got it.
Right. But is that the reason why we had to replace their gears?
Yeah, all gear's on a replacement plan. Typically, we would go around the 7-8 year mark, but being as it takes long.
Well, what is bunker gear that costs almost $3,000?
So it's your pants, your coat, it was what, $24, $25, $2600.
Really? This is $3,000. So you're even low.
Yeah, that's what the newest one came in at.
Yeah. Two guys, I think, got it, right?
Chris Carr, Chris Carr guy.
And Alfonsi.
They were both probably at least 8-9 months ordered.
So what do they get replaced at every?
10.
Every
10
10
years.
years?
It's serviceable.
And then we were asking about the ambulance repair, the 2014 ambulance repair, $55,000 on the Kodiak.
Yeah, that was the accident.
But that's not covered by insurance?
It was 100%. Tokyo Marine. So you didn't get a check from Tokyo Marine?
No.
It may be under revenue, where there may be a check.
We would have gotten reimbursed?
Yeah, that was
It's
100%.
the same thing we had with Parks and Rec. We had
It was all
Parks
approved
and
by
Rec.
Susan Walker from Tokyo Marine.
So we pay Kodiak and then we get reimbursed.
So we pay and then they reimburse us?
We didn't pay, she just, when the product was done and delivered, she said she was going to put it into the township account.
Because we got a $55,000 check to
Kodiak Emergency Vehicle
Kodiak
Service,
Emergency Vehicle Services.
329 of
We
2023.
didn't pay it, should have been put into our account from Tokyo Marine.
But we've had this instance, we had two of them with Parks and Rec, same thing happened where we paid,
We pay the
have the
check.
repair and then we get the reimbursement from Tokyo Marine. So there may be a revenue, we can check that, I can check that out
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
it's still open, it hasn't cleared yet. With the check was written 3/29/2023.
Then page 4, there's one for Al's aerial spraying.
That's our
That's
our
our
spongy
10,000.
moth.
That was our spongy moth
Correct,
that we previously approved, right?
correct.
And then page 5, there was one for the Village of Romeo for $50,000. First order services, but it doesn't say what the services are.
That's our sewer.
That's sewer?
We did that here,
Yeah.
we inspected it annually, we keep that.
We'll have Mike up there, chief. Better.
Yeah, we inspect our gear annually for service day, wear, tear, rips, things of that nature. If it's fixable, we'll send it out to get it fixed, and obviously when it's coming up to its end of life date, we have to supply new gear. We have gear that we keep upstairs in balance, as in 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that will issue to a new employee, which is still good. But at that point, we start the process of ordering gear. Just know that it's inspected annually and documented. Helmets, pants, coat.
Thank you. Then on the revenue expense report,
What page?
page 12 of the revenue and expense report. Shift premium, I think it's called. The
15?
first, it's on page 12, the first section. If you look at the
activity for the month, which is the third one from the left, there's 17,875.
So that's part of the budget. I mean, that's where we're at in a budget. But what, I guess define the word shift premium, chief, and what that expenditure would be
Shift premium be years of service?
for individual.
Yeah, for.
Well, here's my issue, is we budgeted 15,000 for the year. We're 1 month in, it's already at 17, so I have a concern.
What page are you on, Mike?
It's page 12 of the revenue and expenditure report.
Abnormal.
Yeah, we get 119% over budget, or no, 19% over budget, and we're only 1 month in. So it's just very high.
But that's just annual.
No, it says activity for the month, 15,000,
But it's a one-time thing.
17,000. So that's only gonna happen once?
Once. Annual.
I can get that clear. I'll clarify that with Rhonda at the same time, find out about, we got the revenue check from
Yeah.
Kodiak, or from Tokyo Marine.
And then, I have one more question, or one more observation. And it's on the balance sheet. There's a line item near the 3 lines up from the bottom, negative $39,000.
Mike, I'm sorry, do you have a page on that? One of the last pages?
Page 7?
Yeah, page 1 of 8. Page 1 of 8, third line up from the bottom of the balance sheet. There's a negative 39,000. That's our current year. Was that a current year deficit? Is that what that is? That's
Oh,
my
I-
presumption is that it's a deficit for the prior, just, and
There could be still payments coming in that would show that as a negative. I mean, that does happen, you know. I'm not saying for sure, but that's another question I can ask for Ron. But I think that that's the similar reason why we have a water payment again as well.
Water payment, because we had a bond, the bond was due. That's why we had to borrow from the general fund to cover that.
I think sometimes our water payment that we have to make is because we didn't have revenue that didn't come in.
Right.
Receive.
I guess the observation I have is that in each of our balance sheet accounts, in general, fire and ALS, we have a negative entry. So my question is, was it a deficit position in each of the 3 for the year?
I thought that she was explaining that to us. Again, that was a lot, because she wasn't really sure what was going to come into Acumen. Somebody else can recall the actual conversation, but there's still revenue.
It's just that my concern is that we have all the funds now. It's just a warning flag, I think. Just for all of us to be cognizant of and maybe talk with Ron and say,
We'll have
you don't want to continue that
Monday.
long term, for sure.
Right. We'll find out Monday.
And then the last one we have is on page 6, right, paper, is the, it says, that same line item, negative net of revenue versus expenditures, current year says 0. And I thought the water fund was in a deficit position. It doesn't reflect that.
What page are you on?
Page 6 of the balance sheet.
So there was a bond payment that was due this month. We would have had money to cover the water bill, but because there was a bond payment due, we had to use that money.
Yeah, that's not the question, it's not the balance sheet, the balance sheet, I think, ends March 30th.
What was the question on that, Mike? I'm sorry.
So you have, the fourth line up says a negative ending balance 22-23 forward balance. So this is the beginning fiscal year balance of a negative 430. And net of revenue expenditures current year is 0. And then ending balance is a minus 430. So I don't know, I thought we went further into a deficit position this year. To me, this isn't,
You can ask Ron.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that it is, I think that the deficit is the 954,862. That's the water fund. That's the total deficit's at 1.385.
Oh, we're in the deficit because the liabilities are greater than the assets by 430.
So the actual question, Mike, did you want to?
I guess I just wanted some explanation. What does this mean?
What's the question you want me to ask Rhonda and get that answer for you?
What was our deficit that we incurred for fiscal year 22-23? That got added to the deficit that we had prior to the start of last fiscal year. Because this current fiscal year, based on our actions, we should see a much, much lower deficit position.
Well, the 2022, 2023, I mean, they got 313,004, and then the revenue versus expenditures was 100. That doesn't make sense either, 'cause the total for 2022, 2023 shows a $430,000 deficit.
So maybe the deficit was the 117, is that what we incurred this year?
I'm going to clarify that for you.
Negative to the revenues coming in?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just looking for clarity. That's all my questions.
Got it.
So if you want, I can make the motion, since I have all the questions.
Sure thing.
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified, pending explanations of the page 1 audit adjustment for $50,160. Explanation why we paid for the ambulance repair versus the insurance paid directly. On page 3, the $55,338. And then clarification on the ship premium on the revenue and expense report. 17,875 versus the total year budget of 15,000 in the current fiscal year. And then an explanation of the water fund balance.
I'll support. Is there any other discussion? If not, can we get a roll call, please?
Trombley.
Yes.
Hoover.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Crafty.
Yes.
And when you have to do minutes all night? Okay, moving on, we're going to move on to item 4, which is comments from the floor. Anybody that wishes to come up and speak, I'd like for you to come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and keep your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. We do have public hearing if it's regarding the budget for Parks and Rec. You'll have that opportunity to speak during the public hearing. So at this time, if anybody wants to come to the podium to speak at all during public comment? No? Okay, so we'll close public comment. Moving on to item 5A, or under hearings and reviews, the budget hearing for Parks and Recreation and Star Transportation. I'll make a motion to go ahead and open up the public hearing for Parks and Recreation, Star Transportation budget.
625, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Claire Russell is representative, she's the Director for Parks and Rec. Hi, Claire.
Hi.
I know you got to be at Washington tonight also, so we'll try to get you out of here pretty soon.
Do they still start this up?
6:30.
Hi. So we'll do Parks and Recreation first, or actually, can we do Star first?
Sure.
All right. So Star Transportation, oh, no.
Do we want to do any public comment first for our public hearing on the Parks and Rec, or
I think we can have Claire present now.
then do, okay. All right, Claire.
Oh, wait a minute, did we open up the public hearing for Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
I'll make that a motion to open up public hearing for Star Transportation.
Oh.
All
All right.
Subject matter.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Claire.
You
Okay.
get a second?
Oh,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
627.
Okay, so Star Transportation, for anybody that doesn't know, is free transportation for anybody that's 60 years and older or has a disability. It is free. We take our residents of Romeo, Washington, Bruce, anywhere within the 72 square miles, plus we go outside of the district for medical, and we also have group trips we'll take them to Walmart or to stores that might not be in the Romeo, Washington, Bruce area that they're looking for. So STAR is so important because it provides transportation and it gives people independence. And once you lose your independence, if you ever had that happen, it's a horrible thing. I've only had it temporarily, but it is so important, and if you talk to any of our users, they would agree with that. So I do want to thank all of the voters who continue to keep our millage going for Star. We have 4 buses, 2 vans. Those are all from Smart Transportation. Those are free. Or we pay no money for those. They give them to us from the millage that you pass for SMART. Those vehicles have lifts on them, and then we have 5 cars that don't have lifts, but those are ours. Those are the townships or the communities that we've purchased those. SMART does all of the maintenance on their vehicles, but they also help us with grants to get the cars that we use for that. So SMART is a very important part of STAR, to be confusing. But this year, the budget is balanced at $737,782. The money that we get from SMART is about 20% of the revenue that we have, and about 80% comes from the millages from Romeo, Washington, and Bruce. We have La Casa, or LSCA, local stabilization. We also have been receiving that from the townships. So I put in a small amount of that because it has been continual. So hopefully that will happen this year as well. Our expenses for STAR are very limited. There is 1 full-time operation coordinator who works in the office day to day. Then myself as the director and our accountant, we are paid 15% of our combined salary. 15% of that comes from the STAR budget. So I oversee and help do the administrative part of STAR, and our accountant does the payroll and helps with the accounts payable. And then the remainder of the staff are all permanent part-time. We have about 25 of them. They are all trained drivers, so any of them can go at any time. But then we also have dispatch and office workers. So if we have someone call in sick, a driver, then one of our dispatchers or persons in the office can help fill in until we can figure out what to do or get another driver in there. Within the last couple of years, we actually switched over to a real-time system so that we can see where all of our cars are. They check in on their smartphone when they're picking someone up. They check out when they're dropping them back off. It just makes, we know where they're at all times, and it helps with communication. So altogether, STAR is like coming into where we should be technology-wise. So besides that, we just have to keep up with the training. We do drug testing. We follow all of SMART's rules that they follow, so we're very stringent about that, and there is a pretty intensive training that all of our drivers go through and continue to get tested on throughout. So again, STAR is great. There really isn't anything major in this budget. We did put in for a 3% for the full-time staff. And then there's a 5% for the permanent part-time staff, which would be all the drivers and the dispatchers. Sorry, I'm just trying to find out where I am. The other thing that we will be doing at capital development, we are going to redo the Romeo Community Center parking lot. Their office is within the Romeo Community Center, and then the overhang and the buses are all parked there. So STAR is going to split in, and so is Parks and Recreation. So STAR will pay the back parking lot, and then we would pay the front parking lot this year. We are supposed to get, we should already have a new SMART replacement bus, but we did find out that it's going to be it was supposed to be in March, and hopefully it will be within the next couple of months, but within this year. And then there's another 2 that will be in the next 24, 25. So the amount that's in the budget for a vehicle is just so that we can get our name on the side and the different things that we need for it. Otherwise, it's completely free from SMART to us. We are updating some of our internal computers and our software. And that's pretty much it for the capital improvements. The rest of STAR is all about service. That's what all the money comes from. It pays the drivers and fuel. And then we do have within this, because I know that the board needs to approve our amendments as well. I do have a separate amendment sheet for STAR. But just to tell you, because they're highlighted in yellow on your sheet too. So we had a $3,000 for the audit. It was just under budgeted. We have our part-time office and dispatch. We went over, so I asked for an amendment for $17,000. But just so that you know, our participation or our miles and our usage is up by 65% for our riders that are calling, and then 70% for the miles that we've gone. And if we look at just January through March right now, and we keep going the way that we are, we're going to surpass anything that we ever did before COVID. So people are getting out there, so it's coming back again. It's been a couple years, but it is definitely coming back. The other 2 amendments are for our maintenance and repair, because again, we have some old vehicles that we need to work through and probably look at. We have a system of doing it from year to year, but we will be pretty good once we get the new buses in. We won't have to use our cars so much. And then the fuel. Obviously, it's just one of those things that we never know how much it's going to cost. And again, it's how much we're driving. So that is really it for the STAR budget. If you had any questions.
fiscal year start?
It started April 1st.
So we're running without a technically improvement.
Right.
Can you help explain
Yep.
the first page under expense, the 24,688 negative?
Oh.
Is that in order to fund this current budget, we have to take from the fund balance?
Yes.
We usually don't have to do that, right?
We normally don't. Yeah, we are doing that mostly because the one project that was funded last year did not, the parking lot. So to be able to meet the budget, it's not that we don't have enough in our fund balance. We have, and I should probably touch on that a little bit, we have assigned $650,000 towards an emergency fund, like say the SMART millage never went through. We would still be able to run without that 20% that they contribute to us. So we've been setting that aside. And then we have $150,000 assigned for future capital developments. And then the remainder of the money is for the parking lot and drain repair is what the $24,000 is going to contribute to. And I should say we also need to keep liquid money aside from April through December before the tax money comes in so that we can continue to spend. So that's all laid out for you on the front page. But
Here on page 5 of the star thing, for expenses, the very last line item, total expenses.
sorry. Okay.
The third number over 552, 465.
Yes.
Is that the actual expenditure we have for 22, 23?
That is the actual expenses through March, through the beginning of March.
Okay, so you have additional expenses that aren't in that number.
Correct. But remember, about $100,000 of that was that parking lot that we were going to do in the last fiscal year, but it did not happen. Are you looking at?
You would have spent 650 if you did parking.
Right.
You know, I was looking at the difference between our budget and what we spent.
Yeah, there is
And the
a,
budget next year is 43% higher than what we actually spent the year before, so I was concerned about why such a large increase between our actuals and our budget for the following year.
right. But that is the actual, the budgeted amount is almost 700,000.
So
But that's still
100,000,
87,000.
What you said is expenses that you had budgeted that we didn't spend on them.
Right, and that's why it's at 552.
So that's 100 of it, and then
So this is still like, you could, it says March of 2023. I grabbed any numbers that I could get out of accounting at that time because it's not all in. Like we don't have the benefit that we pay to Washington Township for.
Washington will ask this question.
Yeah.
Just knowing the folks on that board.
Right. The, at this exact moment though, I couldn't tell you exactly what is missing besides that 100,000 unless I go through each one.
Okay.
Really quick. I could probably do that.
Part of it is drivers, you need more drivers.
Yeah. Again, we're estimating,
And a lot of it is your capital improvements too.
Yeah.
50 or 60,000.
right. I mean, if you look at just our amendments, those are the ones that really, I did beef up those. But yeah, adding that $100,000 for the parking lot and then the,
So I'll go to the parking lot next. I think that might be my last question on Star.
okay.
Do we have a current lease, valid lease with the Village of Romeo? Because I remember when we did the new bylaws,
the old lease should have been assigned to the new organization with the new bylaws. That, to me, that, I don't know what happened. I know that there was an attempt to do it, and the village wanted some kind of guarantee from the townships.
Yeah.
We weren't good with that, so I don't know where that stands, but I would not recommend paving that until we had a valid contract that we knew what the lease is.
Right.
Otherwise, you risk paving a lot and then not having a lease, and then paving a lot and never using it.
Right.
Potentially. Worst case scenario.
Except we are the ones that messed up the,
That was part of the-
or do you know what I mean, for the usage of it. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I know that we will be meeting, like, once the new commission comes in, we will be meeting, if we don't do it before, because we just hired a lawyer, to go over that. And things have changed at the village too, so I don't know that that whole guarantee thing is not,
My fiscally
Sticking.
responsible
I know,
recommendation is not to pave it.
Don't pave it.
Place.
Okay.
So you understand what it is.
Oh, I get
The
it.
lease could be anything. It could be an astronomical lease amount.
Right,
Or it
but,
could be more gregarious terms and conditions that you can't live with.
yeah,
But I'm just saying that if when you invest that money, you don't have a lease with where you're living,
right.
it poses a risk.
So because that, the guarantee, or when it did go to that township, did that nullify our first lease? Because I didn't think so. I just felt like it didn't.
The current organization does not have a lease.
Oh, because the name changed.
Correct. There's a new organization.
Right.
Just from a commission perspective, John Steeren, who is the new attorney for the Parks and Rec Commission, had responded to the commission just as of this morning in regards to the Morton lease, the lease at the cable TV studio at 361 Morton, and regarding the cooperative agreement with Romeo Community Schools, because those were items of contention that with some of the commission members, and they felt strongly, as you do, Mike, that we should not continue until, with the parking lot, until these leases are identified. And, I read through this very quickly, and I don't think I should share the until I've had enough time to review it, but he's saying because we have, the summary of it all is because we've continued to pay the annual $1 rental and utilities and repairs, then arguably there is still a lease regardless of the original leasing entity's demise. So there's a lot more detail in here that I haven't gone through yet, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed with with the existing and the new commission combined. So we're on that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I didn't even see that.
No, I know, it just came, I just pulled it up like
Okay.
this afternoon.
Yeah,
So I'm not surprised you didn't see it.
right.
So I didn't want to leave you hanging on that.
Okay,
I hope
thanks.
you don't mind me
No,
jumping in.
good.
So Claire, I just have a question for you. What keeps you up at night with Star?
Well, nothing with Star. I think the biggest concern is, people driving people. You have to, that would be my biggest worry. But our staff is trained, and it's the other people you have to worry about.
Sounds good. Do you think with the budget you propose, it's adequate for what you perceive for the following year?
I think it's very sound, honestly. We are conservative. If you come into our offices, there's nothing, it's all service. They're in and out, and that's what they do, so.
And the 25,000 that we're borrowing from the general, we're using from the general fund to maintain balance, you don't anticipate that occurring on an ongoing basis? You just think it's a one-year anomaly?
I think that, I would say, this is the first time actually that it has ever happened.
Okay.
So, but I don't necessarily think I know what you're saying, but I think that progress is good, and we do have a very healthy fund balance that if we can use it for capital improvements, it's a bonus.
Gonna be doing the same thing on the Parks and Rec side too. There's a couple items that came in at the last meeting. Some expenditures that we weren't
Yeah.
$50,000 just set aside for Washington Township to do any type of a future.
A little bit more than 24. Wait till you get to that page. All right.
Thank you, Claire.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go to Parks and Rec.
Do we have to approve both at the same time?
I mean, we can do one at a time. I think would probably be most appropriate.
I'll move to close the.
Well, we haven't heard any public comments.
Well, wait, are there any public comments? Yeah.
Oh,
Public comments regarding Star Transportation at all? Okay.
I'll move to close the public hearing for Star Transportation at 7:44.
Support.
Or 6:44.
I'll support. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any other discussion regarding Parks and Rec?
Or Star.
Star, you want to go ahead and make a motion? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the Star budget as presented.
I'll
Support.
Support by Frank. If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes.
Holbrook,
Yes.
Giorgio,
Yes.
Crafty,
Yes.
Crafty.
Thanks, Tara, and Star. Now you got to get in the,
Parks and Rec.
right, so we got to open back up the public hearing for,
No, we open them both at the same time. So Parks and Rec is still open.
so you're on, Clara.
Okay, hi. So the Parks and Recreation, the Parks and Rec budget is balanced at $2,428,000 this year. Our tri-community millage and program fees make up the revenue needed to cover the cost of our 4 major expenses, which our expenses are the cost to run the business, so really the salaries, and then to run the department, maintenance, our improvements and our capital developments, and then our programs. On the front page, or the auditors for Parks and Recreation, the budget is really our front page. That is what's audited every year. The additional 11 pages are to build that front page, and so that you can see more detailed where items are going to or coming from. For Parks and Recreation, we have a healthy fund balance as well. We have $1,250,000 assigned for future use and development. We have restricted $15,000 from a donation that was made that is going to go towards the playground, or, as they say, anything that I want, but I think it should go towards some type of play apparatus. And Newbie was a big soccer person in the area. Other appropriated amounts currently not assigned. Again, we need the money from April through December, so that's $1,500,000. And then, so I'll bounce back and forth. You'll see the expenses on the side, and the capital development projects are the ones that are at $760,000. So I earmarked within this area that you can see what that $760,000 would be used for. And it would be the Washington Accessible Playground, including the removal and the prep, the Gilcher Chrisman Pavilion project, the remainder, or 40% of Washington Township's parking lot, because they're repaving it and because we use part of their building for the senior activity center. We are responsible for 40% of that parking lot. And then the remainder of the funds for the Washington Township Pavilion, because they would like a pavilion at the Washington Township Park. And then the remainder funds left unassigned is the $7,869. So let me go back to this for a second. I was going to give you some percentages. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So our administratively, again, our salaries, benefits, and then the actual costs to run a business is $618,000. That's 25% of the budget. Maintenance is 28% of the budget. And then the improvements and capital developments, we're budgeted, 18% of the budget is the $440,000 in improvements. And then the rest obviously goes beyond that. But then for our programs, they make up 29% of the budget. So I think the biggest elephant in the room would probably be the capital development projects that we're looking at, which if you would like to see the breakdown of those, that would be on page 5. So what you said. So all of these items, I guess if you look at the bottom first, that would be the improvements. Those are the normal things that I put in the budget on a year-to-year basis. I've got a list of Washington's broken down and I have Bruce's broken down. We know, so I went to our master plan that is a draft that will be finished this year by the new commissioners. And I did take out some of the items that were on there and put them so that we could get the security cameras and the electric and water across parks where they're needed, like Orchard Hills Park, so that we can get that secure finally. We want to add some drinking fountains. We're looking at the Washington Township parking lot that we're responsible for, but I only had $75,000 left in the proper budget money from the millage and everything, not dipping into the fund balance. I only had $75,000 at that point to use towards that project. The same with the Washington Township Pavilion. There was only $15,000, so I had no choice but to go into the fund balance for that $80,000. And then we are supposed to be adding some additional pickleball courts onto the Washington Township tennis courts. And then if you look at Bruce Township, it would be the same thing, the security cameras, the electric, the water, the bottle fountains for people and dogs, the community center parking lot. We need to fix one of our bathrooms inside of the community center. And then at Orchard Hills, we're just adding a small fence to the work that we had done last year on the basketball court. We also have a pickleball court there. So we're going to fence that in and put a portable pickleball that people can come and grab the key and use it there. And then we are purchasing a truck, Orchard Hills Park. So one thing I can say too is that we have not done capital developments for various reasons, probably for the last, I don't know how many years you want to put on it. We'll say 5. Again, for various reasons. So trying to get the different things that are in the master plan. I mean, I'm all for these projects. I mean, it's a good thing. It's just that you have to overlook the fact that I'm asking for $760,000 to come out of that fund balance. But we do have it, and it's sitting there, and it's waiting for us to do these developments, and they're needed. So that's the good side.
Plus, we're going to get a new truck this year.
And the truck, sorry.
One truck, 1 out of 2 we need more.
Yeah.
Just one budget. It's kind of, that was another thing that changed a little bit too. We had 40,000 originally budgeted.
Yeah.
Bumped to 50,000. The trucks are coming in around 47,000. We don't know what the state discount's going to be at this point in time. So that came in at the last.
In order to balance the budget for Parks and Rec, did we have to borrow from the general fund?
Well,
Like we did for STAR this?
yes and no. I mean, that $760,000 would be borrowing it. But originally, no. I mean, we had it balanced, and that's why there's $15,000, you know what I mean, towards the Washington Pavilion. But when that was added, we had to get the remainder of the funds from the fund balance to reach the 80,000.
Which is, includes, I think that includes the raises too, had to come up, because that wasn't,
Oh, well, the raises, I mean, we didn't even do that, but that's a whole different part of the budget. Those are, well, I mean, administratively, the full-time staff, if we want to talk about raises, I mean, we can go through each page, but the full-time staff was agreed upon at 3%, and then our permanent part-time staff were 5%. We did do a salary survey, but instead of following the survey, they kind of went with the 5% for the permanent part-time staff to bring them up a little bit more than where they were at.
Why didn't we use the survey?
survey.
Higher.
It was like 8.5%.
Oh, because we're conservative.
Yeah,
Still did something.
right. It matched the cost of living, because I think the cost of living is 8.5, because that's what I was working with, but the, we'll just live a little. We're happy, we're not complaining.
Any other question?
Yeah, just some observations.
Yep,
I do know that 50% of the population of the Parks and Rec community that is served is south of 29 miles.
right.
So it makes sense that if you're going to do some capital improvements that are required, that we do it where most of the population is. But my observation is, I don't think Parks and Rec paid anything for the improvement to the Romeo Park, did they?
No,
That was all done through
that was done through donations and grants, yeah.
board or parks. I know the pavilion here at Bruce Township was not paid for by Parks and Rec. That was done through a grant.
Someone asked me that.
That was done through a grant.
Okay,
It was
through
managed
Mr.
by Ticket Alley supervisor.
Okay.
So my question is, as fiscally responsible people on our township board, are there grants available to help with some of these capital improvements, specifically the pavilion projects? Or even the accessible playground? Is anyone researching getting grants for that so that tax dollars can be?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and we've met with, yes, there are grants, and yes, we will be moving forward to get those grants. It's just, yes, we can do that.
In our Spark grant.
The Spark grant.
Paperwork in order by the time the first
Right,
Yeah.
allocations were given out. We're going to, obviously, there's a second that's coming up in May. I think that is the second.
yeah, well, we could have had it for the Spark, but that's the one that you do not need a master plan. We have to have the master plan for some of the other grants, but the Spark one, we can look for it. But there are other probably local grants we could look at. I just need some help. We need some time to do that, to have those resources. And Mike and Lisa, I mean, you guys, I can't say enough for you. It's just been a couple years of whirlwind, and yes, there's grants out there. They should be used for these type of projects, but I know that we need to move forward with the accessible playground for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Can I add on?
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I just wanted to say, just like we as the township are short in trying to identify grant options and having the resources available to it, it's definitely been
Yeah.
a problem with Parks and Rec. Clara wears many different hats
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis, and part of the review and part of what I consider a requirement as we look at new commission members was people that have grant writing experience and experience working with state and federal grant programs. So it is definitely something that, that we're looking at for a go-forward plan. And that was also what was, the the necessity for looking at additional grant options was one of the priorities of why we were pushing to complete the master plan so quickly, but we realized we were missing a lot of
Yeah.
information that needed to be included in that in order for it to be a solid plan. So it is in the forefront of I think, everybody's minds, the existing commission, Mike and Dan and Cindy and I as alternates, but we'll get there. It's just another resource that we need.
Well, we needed some engineering too. Do you know what I mean? Like all these ideas everywhere, but where are they really going to work? A pavilion we knew.
Do everything.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's true.
Now, are these major capital improvements, are they in our master plan? Are they part of our master plan?
Yes, the big one at Gilcher was in it. We have shade. The smaller one for Washington Township wasn't like earmarked particularly there, but we were looking for shade and a place to sit for the pickleball players and the new playground. So
That's over at the Washington,
at Washington,
hall.
yeah.
this pickleball generally attracts a crowd that needs more shade.
There's no shade in,
Wind.
for sure. It attracts a crowd. That's the biggest. It's fun. If you haven't tried it, try it. But
Just don't die.
there's a lot. Yeah, it's way better than tennis now. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Tennis is great too, but for me, I can't do tennis.
So are some of the other parks, do they have stuff in the capital or the master plan to be done to them too?
Well,
I think you mentioned Orchard pickleball courts at the Orchard.
right now, last year Orchard Hills was kind of like we did the path, we did the basketball court, the fence
French
is
drain.
coming in this year. Yeah, the French drain. We don't have any paths going this year that we're having resurfaced or anything, but the cameras, the drinking fountains, those will be at all parks that can have them. Not Orchard Hills though at this time. The electric would be there, but not the water.
Currently, Mike, we don't have, our master plan is not completed. We were
Right.
working on master plan. We sent out a survey to the public. We got 414 responses back. 414 or 415.
And we just consolidated them all so that we can,
We wanted to get to the budget. Obviously, you know, we have some difficulties sometimes trying to get things between commission members to make it work. So it will be a focus on what we're going to do after our budget's been approved to work on a master plan. Additionally, it's hard to apply for grants when we don't exactly know what we're going to do.
We got some here.
Right, but we don't know exactly what size, what we want to do, and where they're going to be located, and that's something we'll be talking about a pavilion at Washington tomorrow. Giffords and Webster's actually put something together on paper a little bit, so it's going to be a presentation that Dan will be presenting to the commission tomorrow.
Okay, I got a couple of more questions you don't.
yeah, no,
On page 2,
2.
the 220 millage. I was looking at the vote distribution versus some of the prior years, and it looks like that was a closer vote between yes and no. Any observations from you on why that happened? Because the other years it was, pretty predominantly yes.
I absolutely have an observation. It would be when the whole idea that Romeo Washington Bruce should not be together anymore. It was,
Boards were meeting and we were,
no, it was more the soccer because that was at the same time and then everybody got confused and nobody knew who was for what, so.
because I look at the prior 4 and it was pretty much
Right,
2-1, easy.
yeah. I mean, I'll let you know in 2024 if I'm right.
Hopefully, we're back on track.
Yes.
Okay, page 5 has all the breakdown of the improvements. I think you went over some of these with us.
Yeah. Okay, I'm on 4.
These, all of these are being, why is there a breakdown between Washington and Bruce here? Because
That was key request.
here's my observation when you do that. If you don't have a community mindset on it.
I know.
The funding mechanism is Washington Township and Bruce Township, and they create the funds for a community thing. When you
Right.
start looking at things like this, that's when you start splitting communities apart. You got to look at the assets that you have as a community and make improvements based on those assets. Maybe some of it's where the population is.
Right.
But if you start looking at it that way, I don't think it's healthy. My own observation.
I agree.
That's my observation. When I saw that, I'm going, why did we do this?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wrong.
I agree with you.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Creates the wrong mindset.
I did not have a vote in that, and it was kind of like a.
You can convey my opinion if you want to.
I feel that once we do get the new commissioners, I'm excited about the new, and again, I appreciate, but
We're excited.
that is the mindset. Like the people that came in and they introduced themselves, they want the Romeo Washington Bruce Parks and Recreation. They like what it is and they want it to go. So I think just some things will change.
Claire, is there any scrutiny done on programs, pages 7 through 9? To determine if any of those programs are being subsidized too much and maybe increasing prices or not doing it?
Well, I mean, we look at them all of the time. I don't know if you have any in particular that you're looking at.
I was just looking at it overall and just wondered how you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, like the popular basketball programs that get, the 100 kids in it, they help pay for maybe the fencing class that doesn't get it. They might get 7 kids in it, unless it's an Olympic year. So every year we do analyze and we look at, and we have put a lot more into our special events, but the residents want it. Like during COVID, we beefed them up and they loved it. And so we've been taking our sponsorship money and putting that towards our events so that they're grander and bigger and more. So that would be the biggest thing. But we do try to break even. We try to keep our prices low.
I think you guys do a pretty good job overall. I think you guys are pretty close to break even.
Yeah.
$7,000 on the $700,000 budget, that's
Right.
pretty close, 1%.
Yeah.
That's very good. And the only reason I ask this question is because I've heard, just personally, comments on the fitness center that
Oh.
if it ran as a business, you wouldn't afford it.
Oh, no.
The other thought is, those people that use it have alternatives.
It's the new senior center, honestly.
Right.
It's a healthy choice we definitely do not make money off of the fitness centers.
I went there as the youngest person there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm about the oldest.
But it is, it's a place to talk, it's a place to work out. It's fun.
Okay, page 10, I had a question.
10.
What was it? Special events. It looks like we're subsidizing special events. Because our expenses are so much higher than
We are
Help with that?
Well, because the majority of these are free. I mean, or
It's like the tree
Okay, so-
lighting.
because they're wanted.
This is where our tax dollars help fund these events for the community.
This is where the other program fees help fund. I try to keep programs, like if you look at the very front page again, there's the subsidy from the millage comes from because a portion of the staff who are permanent part-time, like say our front office workers, half of it comes out of the administrative budget and half of it comes out of the program budget. So if we didn't have programs, we probably wouldn't need as many staff to take the registration. So I split it up between them. Same thing with like our senior staff, they're permanent part-time. Part of it comes out of their programs, which they really don't make any money because their luncheon might be $4, you know what I mean? And then part of it comes out of just general programs, and then part of it comes out of the administrative part again. So I just spread it across in the different 4 areas when it's appropriate.
We get some revenue from sponsorships too.
Oh, we do.
Fireworks and things like that.
Oh, we sell a lot of ads. I mean, we get about $30,000 a year.
Community events are great.
Yeah, they're bigger and better, and that's what the people want, so.
Anything we should be concerned about?
No, honestly, I think that we're on the right track. Like, we're moving forward. We're gonna get people in that want the tri-community and want to work towards all of these things, the grants, you know what I mean? You just need people, or you need the time to not be doing other things to be able to concentrate on that time.
What's the timing on getting the new commission in place? I mean, you guys had a number of candidates, which is great.
So that's part of my quarterly report, if you'd like to hear that.
Let's finish the budget first.
Oh, right.
But I just had a question on, what do you think, the new commission will be in place by July, June?
Oh,
It goes well. And we're gonna vote on a new commission tomorrow, and it's after we vote on the new commission tomorrow. We still gotta go for both boards to approve the commission. For some reason, one of the boards don't approve the commission that we so all vote on, we could be back at square one, which is a sad thing. I mean, that's the unfortunate part of it.
Well, think optimistically.
I'm thinking positively.
Yeah,
so May,
because I saw some of the interviews, and a lot of those candidates were, I
Great.
think you got some
They're
quality candidates.
quality for sure.
I think
Yeah.
everybody was thrilled with the quality of candidates that we received from both Bruce and Washington. Wouldn't you agree, Mike?
Absolutely.
It was it's going to be.
There are a couple
tough
obvious
choice.
yeses, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough decision, you know, so it's
I know, I don't look
having
forward.
to do that, you know.
And master plan is expected to be completed.
The master plan is completed. It just, I compiled the survey so that when the new commission comes in, they can also look at it. So there's 5 more eyes instead of just us. And comparing, I mean, I think it's pretty sound. Like, I would not have had a problem if we did run it through, but it will be nice. I mean, the biggest thing so far is they want bathrooms. They want permanent bathrooms at the parks. So that is something
Bathrooms, not outhouses.
right, even though our outhouses are the best outhouses around, I will say, Don's Little John's, but, just
Nobody tips them over.
yeah, well, there's that part, the vandalism. And so the cameras, though, that we have in this budget will help that. So I'm hoping, because we have had a little bit of an increase on vandalism.
So the big nugget you guys got from the suggestions was the bathroom issues.
Mhm.
And that makes sense if you're going to be there for any amount of time.
Right. Yeah.
So my own view on master plan is master plan should not be solely based on community input. You also need people on the vision. Have
Right.
some Vision.
Well, that's why we kind of need, it's almost like we need some engineering so that we're not just like, oh, let's put this here, let's put that there. I mean, you'll notice the 2 ball fields and the retention pond at Gilcher Park, but I will say that they have lasted a very long time and will continue, so. But I don't think any engineer would tell me to go put 2 ball fields and a retention pond.
Now, one thing I didn't see on here, which I know was a controversial item for the Parks and Rec Commission, was an ice skating rink. Is there any thought of doing an ice skating rink, a permanent location somewhere?
Well, the Gilcher Pavilion. The Gilcher Pavilion is supposed to be extremely big, so we have outdoor space in case a COVID ever happened, so that we could, because we were in the parks constantly working during COVID. Had we had that, we would have been able to program better. Plus, we can put the ice rink under there. It will be covered. So that's where it will
Does the
go.
pavilion estimate include an ice rink?
Well, we have the ice rink.
Oh, so you could put the ice rink?
Yeah,
in
we
the pavilion.
purchased an ice rink that we put at Frontier Town, and
Tell me what
this year, it was what?
It was sold. It's sold.
Well, nobody wanted to buy it, so I kept it, just in case we build the pavilion. So, we have that, and we actually used it in the little basketball court that we have at the community center, but we didn't have a good winter for ice, so it had some use, or, when it froze.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? You're done?
Exhausted all mine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Claire. Thank
So-
you for the work you do.
Oh, thank you. So I'm supposed to do a quarterly report, and I could just take 2 seconds
Close
if you.
our public hearing. for-
Oh, sorry.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
No.
For Claire?
Well, anyone have any public?
Comment? Yeah, any comments from the residents for Claire? Please.
I'm listening to what's going
Go
on.
up to
and
the
I do-
podium.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm listening to the conversations going back and forth, and you made a comment that if we don't get a commission voted on, am I understanding that correctly, we're back to square one?
Well, the board's got to approve the commission that we elect tomorrow. They still
But-
have to go to the boards for the board approval.
Okay, and so all the presentation that Claire is doing for us right now, is that going to be irrelevant then? No, it's still good what we're
Like
listening
said,
to.
we got to think optimistically.
No,
Oh,
that's
okay.
not true. Parks and Rec will continue.
Okay,
You just might have some consternation at the commission level.
okay, thank you.
My understanding for the contract is that townships are to prove it, but it's more of a ratification. And then that, at the time, review and ratify the first set of commissioners, there's no provision for a township to modify the list of initial commissioners. And then at the time of ratification, each individual township determines which commissioners will serve for the terms of 1 year, 2 year, and 3 years. So,
Pick an alternate at the same time.
and and the townships are responsible for selecting an alternate. Yeah.
Hopefully coming from the list of candidates.
I would.
Recommendation.
We'd recommend that, yeah. I would hope that we would take it from the recommendation of the commission.
Thanks, Therese. If there's anybody else, any more comments from the floor at all? If not, I'll make a motion to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:16.
Second?
Second by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's no other discussion, and we get a roll call. I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the Parks and Rec budget as Claire presented. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Second by Frank. There's no other discussion. We get a roll call, Susan.
Yes.
Yes?
Giorgio?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Claire. Great job.
Thank you, Claire. You
Thanks,
do a
Claire.
great job.
Oh, good.
You can do your quarterly.
I know.
Your guy gonna wait.
I think I need the amendments approved too, though. I had sent those.
The
Sorry.
amendments were, there was the yellow highlighted.
They're the yellow highlighted in, or I sent
Just
a,
change that motion as amended.
No, I think that's a separate motion. We have to approve the amendments. just
The
like we do our
amendments
own
to
at
the
end of March.
budget.
I'll make a motion to approve. Well, do we have any questions? I'll make a motion to approve the amendments as presented.
I have answers.
Second by Frank. Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
DeGiorgio,
Yes.
Raffi,
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
Okay, Claire.
Okay, so my quarterly report, we talked about a lot of this, so I'll just kind of touch on it. About the tri-community local agreement was signed. We're working towards the new commission. We had 13 applicants. Actually, we had about 20 plus applicants that came through, but for various reasons, because life, whatever, came up, they couldn't do it. But they want me to keep their application for the next time. So we do have a lot of people out there that wanted to be involved. Again, the master plan, there's the draft. We are going to, that's one of the first things I think that when the commission comes on that we'll start working on so that we can kind of get a handle on that and work with the engineer. Last year, the different items that we completed, we put the drain in at Orchard Hills so it would divert water again because the old system failed. We fixed the walking path, the athletic court, as we talked about. We bought some Mommy and Me swings, which were added to our parks, and they're very well received. AED machines, we updated in an effort to be green. We did the LED lighting at the rooms that we use at Washington Township and then also at the community center. We'll take them with us if, just kidding. So we had the new accessible playground that will have turf, and that will be our first playground with turf. So at some point, I would like to see these other playgrounds updated if we end up liking it, which I'm sure we will. We purchased 14 benches and tables, and we had the community build, and that was a success. We updated some material, the hot water tanks, the commercial refrigerator for our nutrition and Meals on Wheels. And then we worked on updating our website. And again, we talked about the salary survey. I mean, there was a lot that happened, but to make it short and sweet, the next quarterly one, I'll make it longer and more interesting. That's all I have.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clara.
Good luck.
Claire, drive careful to Washington.
Sorry that you had to move for so long about park rights.
So let's move on to item, we're going to bring item 7D to the front, the liquor license. So Vic's here from Three Oaks. Susan, I think you've been handling it all along. Hi, Vic.
Hello, how is everybody?
Still state your name and address, Vic, please.
Vic Stefanowski, Three Oaks Golf Center, 79363 Van Dyke, Bruce Township. Anyways, I'm here obviously inquiring about adult beverage license, which are filed with the Department of Licensing Regulators. And you probably have a form in front of you that obviously I was instructed that the local government needs to vote on approval, and that's what I'm here for. Is one individual had mentioned, is this liquor license, I guess there should be a difference between beer and wine versus liquor. And the reason being we're inquiring for that was obviously it would make a world of a difference for Three Oaks. I think it can be a game changer for individuals that obviously are interested in that, which I'm not a drinker myself, but we are providing a service, and that is precisely why we're doing what we're doing. We're asking for your approval if possible, but it's not the end of the world if it's not approved. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And that's why I'm here. As I've had mentioned in the past, there's a lot of options that we could do at Three Oaks. And obviously, if God willing, we'll obviously take a look at that. This is one item that, one issue, one thing that possibly could satisfy some individuals. They are inquiring about that, which I've had a couple, including the neighboring city, which obviously had 6 licenses. They brought it to my attention last year. I says, I'm in Bruce Township. I'm not interested in Almont. But nonetheless, I understand we have one, or the township has one, so you guys need to make a decision. What's that?
Did you say Almont has 6?
Yes. There were 6 available. One, a customer, obviously, it was in the facility. He said, hey, do you have adult beverage? I said, no. And he says, well, we have 6 of them. Okay. And I guess the young lady was the clerk of Almont. I don't know if she still is or not. But he says, if you're just a mile down, you'll get one immediately. I says, I can inquire at the township, or Bruce Township, and get one. So why would I? No. If I was a mile further north is what they were saying. And we are quite happy. Obviously, as you guys know, we got involved with Three Oaks about 5 years ago, and we've done as good a job as possible to obviously enhance the community. And we will continue to, obviously concentrate on bringing other things if possible, but that's all relative to individuals' health, which is myself. But as Mike had asked, is this license can be transferred. I haven't, in an event it is approved, a license will stay with the property. It's not like it's personal that I have the right to sell it to somebody else. So it can be, yeah, oh, absolutely. Talking to individual.
So,
Do you know what the current market value is for these?
Very high.
40,000
For beer and wine, I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with
that's
you.
my question. Is there a separate license for just beer and wine, and then if you add liquor, is it a different license?
It's different license.
This is a tavern license, and it's the same. We have one license, and it covers either or.
We don't have, he can't just get a beer and wine license? 'Cause that's all you really want is beer and wine anyway, correct?
To my understanding is obviously if you look at the request, an event that you do approve it, it has to be approved by the state, which there's other documents that I have to fill, including fingerprints amongst other things, before it's approved.
My question was, is we only have one liquor license, but does that mean we only have one beer and wine license too, or is it all?
That part, I don't know.
I know there's some drugstores or stuff that only could sell beer and wine at times until they got their liquor license.
I think you have to reapply for that. We are applying just for beer and see how it goes. I don't have any experience with dealing with that. Obviously, my concern has always been for the safety of the community and safety of our customers. So as an event that we are fortunate to have one, obviously we need to take some steps in making sure that who we are dealing with, individuals that are coming in, and so on and so forth. As you guys know that, obviously we're trying to close as soon as it gets dark. I personally don't want to be around in an area where obviously exposing yourself to possibly anything could happen. So once it's 8 o'clock, we're closed, or 7 in this particular case. So
It's for sale?
What's that?
Is the trail for sale stuff?
No, not at this time, no. That's a long story, which, we could talk about that. Primarily, over the years, well, actually, for the last 5 years, I've continuously ran into individuals I could have had this property. And so I like to, in fact, I did. I'm an equal opportunity owner. You want it, it's yours. Just get the checkbook. So obviously the price tag was such that really somebody if had the extra funds to spend or play around with, I guess they could have come around with a checkbook and it's theirs. But no, I obviously didn't come in Bruce Township or spend quite a sum of money, obviously, to bring it where it is now. And I have no problem continue on doing that within a reason, something that would be obviously prudent to do. In fact, as I mentioned, we had November 18th of last year, actually, we went to Florida and look at amusement parks and things like that, what we can do to enhance. My whole intention is obviously not personally, I'm fine. I have a other job and responsibility besides Three Oaks. And obviously it's seasonal and most of you folks know that. In order for somebody to actually do well for themselves, either if it's the next individual, obviously they would need to plan to be open year-round because that's the only way they can make ends meet or be successful. So you guys mentioned, in fact, a lot of individuals have mentioned, you can put a ice arena or maybe possibly a dome, which, so you can be open during the winter days. But as I said, we're looking at it and we don't have any specific thing that we could do to obviously make it better and make it able to sustain our individual to make ends meet by being open year-round. But there's other things that we can do, go-karts, but again, that would be seasonal. I've had options to put another miniature golf course there. Let's see how one is doing before we start obviously looking at other areas. Double-decker, which I came to the commission board 4 years ago and talked about that. But also, that would only be prudent to do if you have all the bays are busy and you need two storage in order to do that. So we have to do something that makes sense, obviously make decisions that make sense. And,
Do you ever rent your place out for corporate events?
We could do corporate, have not. I've had individuals come in and say, hey, you can have leagues in here. Have not. As you guys have noticed, we don't advertise. I think obviously the place should have, stand on for itself where it is, especially it's a beautiful area there where it's at. It's on Van Dyke. And as one individual says, only game in town. Right, Mike? We're the only game in town. But anyhow, no, it's a pleasure being there. Obviously, we love helping young folks and people that are coming in. And if you look at our reviews are exceptional within one. One lady obviously was not thrilled to be there, but that happens. You can't please everybody. Now we have obviously a situation where you can have a party. We actually put a pavilion in there, so you could do a few things. We could do more. We'll continue to do that. This is one where some of the experts say, hey, you should apply. And I said, I don't need one. Yeah, you do. So here we are.
I mean, obviously, we have the concern that we've only got one, and it's a part-time, seasonal, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, that could change. I mean, if you do have the ability to do if you have an individual, obviously reasonable individuals, to convert or being open year-round, especially if there's customers. It's all
Yeah.
relative to service and customers.
We have another Trilogy or the independent living,
That's totally different. They don't need this.
they have their liquor license, they just want to go for retail sales now.
You just have to press for it. They're on the agenda for next month.
Right. And then how are our liquor licenses? I mean, it seems like we have 36 square miles here. Elmont's got 6 available. How many did we
Yeah,
have?
I'm
I mean,
surprised by that because we didn't have one until the census. Now we have another one, so.
Does
it's
it
just-
go-
They have restaurants.
does it go by population, or how do we go about getting another one? I mean,
Population and how many you have.
it doesn't seem like we have very many unless they count everything in the village side too. Does the village side count as ours?
The village side of the township doesn't count.
Because they
Well, then-
called one. They found out we had one and they.
So just to share with the board, when I was on the planning commission, this is well over 10 years ago, the board had someone wanting a license, we had one left. Same situation that we have here. It was the La Fondas, but it wasn't La Fondas at the time, it was a steakhouse. And what happened there, when your license is given, I think it's given to the applicant.
That is correct.
Follow the property. I don't know what happened with that business. It was a steakhouse, didn't stay open very long. I don't know what happened with liquor license, because once you issue it, you don't get any money for it. But that is a valuable license. At the time, they were worth like 40,000, maybe worth more now.
Yeah, Chris Wells, when they bought the church in
Yeah.
town, they called me about it, and she said she had options to buy it, but it was more than that, I don't remember.
You go back from someone who has one available.
So La
So the risk you
Fonda's,
take is someone could take it, and then
That's why I
they
asked
sell the
you to
business,
sell.
and then they take the license. Or they could sell the license. I mean, two things can happen.
Only use of license in the township, why would they take a look?
I don't think they can only use it in the township, I think once
You
they
can take it
have
anywhere?
it,
Well, then how come we can't get one from them license?
Well, they're
Well,
expensive,
you could go buy one,
yeah.
but they're not
can
cheap.
Vic buy one?
Vic could buy one, but they're not cheap.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean,
And I don't know how.
within a reason, of course. Again, it's, everything that we've
I
done
don't
with,
think you can buy it from the
No.
municipality. You'd have to buy it
Probably
from
not.
someone who already has one.
gotcha,
And they set the
gotcha,
price.
gotcha. If we have one, that's great. If we don't have one, I'm not going to be worried about it, really. However, it would be nice to have because obviously it has value, I agree. In an event that, someone else wants to use it and obviously increase his business, that's obviously entirely up to them. As you guys are correct, license go with the individual that is applying, just based on what you're seeing. However, in my particular case, I have no use for that license, except to stay with the business. Okay, in the event that we're fortunate
Then if
to
somebody
get her
buy the
approved.
business from you, for example, they might not have the same mindset.
It is, if you have a developer that comes in and obviously, here, I'm gonna write you a check, get lost, right? He can take the whole thing and destroy it. I mean, it can be gone. So that happens all the time, especially individuals that have other intentions.
You're not doing a very good job of talking us into it.
No, I'm not trying to talk you into it, seriously.
I can share with you guys what we did as a process when we had the last one, which was well over 10 years ago, because Dean Allen was the supervisor at the time, is the board sent it to the planning commission, because they wanted the planning commission to offer some input. And then it came back to the board either with a recommendation. They didn't have to do that at all, but they did. They just sent it to the planning commission, their view.
So the planning commission, that was going to be one of my questions.
The
was
planning
the
commission
planning-
recommended, yes.
Well,
And the board approved it, and it went to that establishment. That establishment didn't last more than a year. And I don't know if that liquor license transferred to La Fonda, or went somewhere else or what, but at the time, it was worth about 40 grand. The township doesn't get anything, but if you have someone that has a business and the business closes and takes the license, then you don't have a license anymore if you have another business option that needs one. So you have to think about it.
But it can be sold for out of the community, though? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, if the township
It's
needs,
within the-
I mean,
maybe the county, I'm not sure, but it can leave your local for sure. So Vic, my
Yeah.
main thing is, what is your long-term plan for your establishment?
well, there's a saying, the longest journey starts with the first step. Okay, so without going into details, I mean, obviously, we talked numerous of things. One was the banquet center. Victor, obviously, Art and Jake is someone that I know, and I could make him run for his money, so to speak, by virtue of having an opportunity to do that. I can do it. It's all relative to my health, and if I stay healthy, I could put even a brewery there for that matter, or a restaurant. If you're looking to make obviously a presentable area where individuals can come in and enjoy themselves, there's sky's the limit what can be done in there. Personally, myself, it's all relative to my health. So you asked the question, I'm not giving you a good answer, because I don't know what tomorrow will bring. None of us know, actually. That's life, okay? And we all have good intentions. As someone has said, the company that I own and buildings that I own that I obviously had a chance, had an offer that I didn't turn it down, half of it I gave it to the government. So even as the place that we have, which I've spent whatever I've spent, and let's just say I get a good return on my investment, government will come in and take it. So I'm in no man's land, so to speak. You're darn if you do and darn if you don't. So continuous making an investment in the place would probably be the ideal thing to do.
So
We
I'm gonna ask
appreciate it.
I'd like to ask another question, which
Sure.
I'm sure is on, I know at least one other commissioner's mind, is your place was for sale,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's not. So there's some concern as, why was it for sale, and why is it not?
Well, first we're closed. It's not during business, obviously during the season. The sign is gone, which an individual was happy to have it listed. And I'm like, okay, fine. So actually he kind of walked me into that. Says, I'll put it in the market. I'm like, good luck.
Influential man.
Good luck. Yeah, he is. So I think you know him very well. So anyhow, that's what happened. And I knew I wasn't going to get that price tag, and I was safe. So it's anybody was interested, and they could have came in with the funds that they needed. I still would have had second thoughts, even at that figure. So that's how that happened.
We know when our census is gonna, show that we're gonna be able to get another one. At what point? What's the
10
number?
years. They just did the,
One every 10 years.
Is it 20?
yeah, 20.
And then 30 be the next one.
Yeah.
The big one.
Well, obviously, I come to you guys for your decision, and you are welcome to, as I said, to do whatever you like. But based on, I can't go to step 2 till we complete step 1. And as you got the letter, I hope you do, it's in front of you. This is not a done deal, even with the state. I mean, obviously, they have to look at my record and check, do some background checks, what have you. So it's not a done deal, even if you did approve it, based on what I'm seeing here. So I still have to go through the process, and obviously the state has to. I have to, you can see that would be the first item. And then obviously the stockholders meeting and partners, lives can fingerprinting and so on and so forth, and going through the process. Obviously, I've come in front of you guys, you could be doing 10 years where somebody's applying for it. I mean, I have already filled in the paperwork, sent in the form, and send in whatever the requirements was as far as fund is concerned, and I'm relying on you to make a decision. Is yes, we can proceed or not, and I need that form to be filled out, and hopefully you guys can have a vote and let us know what you think or what your vote would be, and we'll go from there.
I like the idea of you wanting to improve yourself and build on that property, maybe put a restaurant in, because I think that's a great location. Along M53 is a great opportunity for anybody to better themselves and provide a good service to the community. However, the way Mike presented it, I think maybe that's what we need to do. I think maybe if you came with a more solid plan of what you were going to do, and then take it to the planning commission, and that's my thoughts.
I mean, that's fine if that's what you guys want to do, but I'm gonna be candid with you. I am not 100% gun-ho that I'm gonna go through that process in the event you chose to do that. If it stops right here, it's okay with me.
As far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, it seems like a hard decision for us to make because we only have one. If we had more than one, then I think it'd be a little bit easier to make the decision without knowing the specifics of what you're going to do.
Well, that's something obviously you could take a look at. Obviously, the township is growing, or we can talk to the individual, the dispenser, who it was just a gentleman that obviously responded, hey, this is what you need to do with your application. And obviously, that's the paperwork that I have from him. So I hear what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. By virtue of making the call and inquiring or getting the information that you're talking about, hey, it's another 10 years before we have the rights to get one more, based on what? How do you get an opportunity to get the license? Why would Elmont has? What's the population of Elmont? Is it really based on population? So you have to do your homework yourself. Hey, are you entitled to get 2 or 3 or whatever? I mean, I hear you. If it's only one, and here you have organization like ours that is open, half of the year. And what is intentions, as you guys well put, it's a right concern. What are you going to do, and why should we approve it? Now, as you guys are saying, license is expensive. If you you're looking for compensation for that, let me know what we're talking about. Well, okay.
I think that we got to look at it. If this is the only license we're going to see for the next 10 years, I mean, like you said, the township is built, and we're getting busier around here. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that between now and 10 years, I would want to believe that a restaurant may want to open up, and we won't have a liquor license for them, and that may discourage them, obviously, from coming if they can't get a liquor license.
Well, Mike, just prior to me even coming in here, I actually had talked to a couple individuals as far as that. In order to have one-stop shop, so to speak, in one place, I agree. I could do that. It's just that finding candidates, individual. I'm not a restaurant guy. And so I need someone else. I actually talked to an individual at 24 in Van Dyke, without mentioning their names. I says, listen, I have an ideal position for you if you're interested in coming in. We've talked about Art and Jake. I did have a conversation with him, and he says, well, it's too close because there's one in Romeo. And I think he opened up another one in somewhere, either Lapeer or somewhere. He did open third facility. I think he's got 3, maybe even 4, which obviously is well-established gentleman and he's doing very well. So I agree, but, if I could find a candidate, I would be definitely putting a,
I think we would look at things a lot differently if that would be the case, if you did have,
sure,
something like that. I mean,
okay,
you're a smart man, Vicky, and I know you can put yourself in our shoes and what
Sure.
we gotta look at.
not a problem.
Not trying to discourage you. I mean, you're doing
No,
a great
no.
job out there, and what you took that place from being run down to what you got it today is, I mean, can't say enough. I mean, appreciate it.
Not a
But
problem.
at the same time, I think it's just gonna be really hard to
How
give
about if
away.
we did this? What if we kicked it to the planning commission like the prior
There's
board
costs
did?
involved.
Just, pardon me?
There's gonna be a cost involved to Vic on that.
No, there is no cost involved because it's really not part of the planning commission's purview, but the board just wanted that commission to look at it and give an opinion. But it's not a planning issue. But I think the prior board did that and got some thoughts. It might be good for us to do that.
I like that.
See,
I agree 100%. I would rather just wait on making any kind of a motion for or against it, Vic, and if you don't mind, I know you're not in a big hurry, but I have some unanswered
I would make a
questions.
motion to push the issue to the planning commission
Okay.
to make a recommendation to the board, yes or no.
They're-
We got a couple people on our planning commission who are very good research people, and there's some pretty good business minds on there too, just to get their perspective. Second?
Seasonal support.
I
Any
agree.
discussion?
Okay,
Vic, is that, I mean, is
That's
that
fine.
understandable?
that's fine.
There's
We'll
some-
just have more dialogue.
That's okay.
And if we had two, I would probably,
Gotcha.
it's a different picture if you got two.
Very good.
We're
Thank
gonna
you.
notify you when it, what day,
May 3rd. If it get on the agenda.
well, it's
They might
too
not
soon
be
though.
too late.
Yeah, it's too
It
soon.
might be June's agenda.
Probably be June, beginning of June, Vic.
That's fine.
We're working on it.
Got 2 weeks, yeah, before May 3rd.
Should have 6 weeks is what is required
6 weeks, I thought it was.
in order for them to put the
Well, you get-
paperwork together.
I don't know for this issue whether we need that much time, because it's not in their purview. I would just say throw it on the agenda.
See what we can do, Vic, that's,
Very good.
most of the guys over there anyways, I don't know, we got new people.
So it'd either be May or June, but I think you can throw it on the May agenda, Mike, because there's no notice requirements or anything other than the agenda published.
Okay.
Because you're just looking for their input. It's really not in their wheelhouse or their responsibility, normal.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mike, and a second by Susan. Any other discussion?
No?
Get a roll call, please.
Crafty,
Yes.
DeGiorgio,
Yes.
Philbrook,
Yes.
Tremblay.
Yes.
Okay,
Vic, thanks for,
Thanks, Vic. Good seeing you again.
thank you.
Thank you.
sorry for making you late, Vic.
May summer start soon.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead, Teresa.
It's regarding that topic. Is that planning commission meeting, when that goes to planning commission just for discussion, is that open for public to comment at that time? Because I have a lot of
Let me put it this
questions
way.
regarding that.
Let me put it this way. If the agenda's light, I know I would do that.
Okay.
Well, there is public comment in every commission.
There's public comment so you could comment on that item.
Yeah, I'd like to comment. I don't want to comment now because you've already voted on it's going to planning commission, but I've got some questions and issues and things that, some of it you brought up today that I would like to express. So how would I know about that meeting?
It'll be in the agenda that'll be posted a week before.
Thank you.
First Wednesday of every month.
Okay, thank you.
Move on to item 7B, the PDR application. Oh, I'm sorry. Item 6A of unfinished business, fire department, general maintenance and small engine coordinator.
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I put this on because we talked about it before, we tabled it, and so.
I think the last I remember was they were supposed to come up with the cost-benefit analysis to justify it, but they were supposed to run it by the chief. I don't know if that's been done.
We haven't made any progress on what you requested, and I agree that's what you're having.
So without a cost, Lisa, I think you were a big proponent of that, too.
Absolutely.
Is that you got two guys at 5% of their
Or
salary.
if you're looking at startup costs, it's close to
you know, how much are they going to save the township with that?
Okay, so no action, do you want to put a time frame on?
I'll work with them.
I'll push these.
If you could just provide an update for us at the next board meeting, Chief, as far as when they can expect to have that information to us, or is it something that they're not going to continue to pursue at this time? Just so we know, I don't like to leave things hanging, especially, you know, things that were, I think it's a great idea, honestly. But I do want to see the cost benefit
Right.
for that,
I agree.
so.
Let's move on to unfinished business, item 7B, the approval of the wording change for ordinance 161-02-23. Mike, did you have the paperwork on that?
I don't have that, but I can probably explain it. It's, I don't remember what the old name was, maybe health establishment? I think it was health establishment.
Physical health.
I think we wanted to make it physical fitness establishment, right?
And we want to take out the word health and just put in the word fitness is what it basically boils down
But
to.
it was also an ordinance change, so that you would, for a special land use, you could review a building that was greater than 5,000 square feet. And the reason we did that is because we had a party that's interested in coming to our township with a gymnasium. They currently are on 32 Mile Road. I think they have 2 locations. But the lease on 32 Mile Road is coming up, and their landlord, I think it's up in 4.5 years, does not want to do it for no purpose. So he's looking for another location, kind of come to our neighborhood. So he's looking for like a 5 or 6 acre parcel in our commercial district, our industrial district. And, right now, we don't allow establishments greater than 5,000. We would need probably 10,000 or more. So what the planning commission said is, let's look at something greater than 5,000, maybe a special land use, if you review each one individually, rather than blanket group. And I think you guys at your last meeting came up with a name change, which is, it more adequately fits what it really is. And we were good with it, so the recommendation came back from the planning commission here to it's the same ordinance with a different name.
It was my request because it sounded like a physical therapy type of a thing, and it just is a whole opposite thing of physical therapy. It's just a matter of one word. I mean, I got a question just regarding the minimum size of being 5,000 square feet. 5,000 square foot building is not very big right now, I mean, considering. But, I mean, I know that.
Bigger than 5,000, it comes to the planning commission to review it.
But again, we,
And then the board can take their recommendation or not.
the special land use is a $2,200 application fee. You know, I mean, it's, and, you know, I just
We've
think-
not had anyone apply for that in my tenure as a planning commissioner, 13 years.
right.
And this is the first one that came through with something bigger than 5. Yeah, you're right, 5 isn't that big. I think anytime fitness, I don't know how big they are. They might be bigger. 5 would be like a weight training kind of place. Or yoga, spinning class. But I'm making a recommendation that we approve the ordinance change as presented by the plan, as recommended by the planning commission.
I will support that.
Support by Lisa. There's no other discussion. Can we get a roll call, please?
Tremblay.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes?
Giorgio.
Yes?
Kathy.
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Item 7B, now we'll do the purchase development rights. We have Mr. D. Cook here. Thanks for your patience.
That's okay. I know Township's got a lot of business they gotta go through and give everybody their due time to explain things.
But
Good evening, board members.
take your name and
Kenneth D. Cook. I live in Armada Township. I'm currently the chair of Macomb Purchase of Development Rights Committee, which Bruce Township is a member of. And I got now 4 items, something happened last week, to present to the board. The first item, the Falker PDR application to USDA NRCS. The owners declined because the appraisal came in way low, and that federal program only went up to 50% of the value. So the director in Michigan, Brian Thomas, is asking for a letter from the Township Board stating that they are withdrawing their application so he can close this file and have an explanation in there why it did not go any further. So that's the one item. If there's any questions about it, I can answer it if you want, or try to.
Primarily, the reason why we got to withdraw the application, because the application was put in by Bruce Township.
By Bruce Township.
Property owner.
And Brian Thomas, the director, would like to receive a letter from Bruce Township stating they are withdrawing their application for Falker's property for the USDA NRCS program.
So is this a new piece of information that Mr. Falker has that changed his mind?
Correct.
So before, he did not know what the value that they would have.
Correct.
said that.
We had estimated value, but once we got accepted, we had to go and get an exact appraisal, and that came in lower than what he expected.
Much lower, I think.
Right.
25% lower than what he would do.
So based on that, he doesn't think it's worthwhile.
For the USDA
USDA.
program. And just give you a heads up for the next item, I'm here to ask for approval. He'd like to reapply then to the state's program, which does 75% of what the PDR value is.
So this was the federal program.
This is the federal program.
I think we got to actually, I think these got to be 3 different motions, yeah, to be really honest with you.
I'll make a motion
Right.
to withdraw from the federal program that based on the explanation provided.
I'll support. I think we just, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we'll talk about the,
Now, how do we have to do something to do that?
Is send a letter, and Mike, I believe you got the name and address. It's just leaving a paper trail so the gentleman has a letter stating in his files why it didn't go any further, that the township withdrew their application, case closed.
We send that to Ken, the cook.
No, it'd be Brian Thomas. I think Mike has the address. It's going to Lansing, where his office is at.
so we'll move on to item 2, then we'll be talking about the application for the state funding.
Right. Mark has been for the past 3 or 4 years doing an application and just getting it renewed each time because at the state level, he didn't get enough points to score to make it into the money. So now he'd like to reapply again. And there's where, through our procedure, we ask for the township board's approval to submit it because the townships are the one that's control what goes on because it's property in your jurisdiction and that. And for the past 5 or 6 years, the board has just been agreeing, approving, and sending it in.
Is it DeCook? Is that the pronunciation of your name? Mr.
Correct.
Mr. DeCook, you had stated that he didn't have enough points.
At the state level for each year because
So what's different about this year? than he might have?
depends on who else applies.
So it's relatively
Right.
to the application.
It's just like when you were talking about applying for grants. You don't always get it. It depends on who else is applying and who scores possibly more than you.
So he needs some C and D students to apply.
Pardon?
He needs some C and D students to apply.
We'll take anything that takes to get across the finish line.
The commission's also been doing a few more things to make his
Correct.
score become higher, just things with our community alone.
Right, because later this year, hopefully, we'll be coming to each member township with new criteria that would get us more points at the state level. It's just been a matter of learning how the system works, trying to come up with creative ways to achieve those extra points in that, and again, getting across the finish line. We've been fortunate the past 2 years, we've got applications accepted, and hopefully by June sometime this year, we'll be closing in on another property in Richmond Township. This one, we'll know in 2024 if it's accepted. And it'd be great to have a celebration here in Bruce Township, if possible.
We did have that property, you came here in front of us, and we decided that we were going to be looking at a possibility of having to do an appraisal on that property. PDR committee did pick up the cost for the appraisal. Now, is this appraisal that was done recently for the federal funding, is it going to be transferred, they're going to be able to use the same appraisal for the state application that we're going to be approving hopefully here in a little bit?
I was told there's no end date or expiration date on appraisals. It all depends on the other party who's giving out the money if they want an update one. And we won't know that until it comes January if we get accepted. And most likely, hopefully, they'll say this is good enough because we got the facts and figures for sure what it is, which helps out a lot. So we don't know until we get there.
Are we going to have to do a new application this year, or can we use the old application?
We can use the same old one. It's just there's a new board pretty much here in Bruce, and we work for you. We want to make you aware, and so you're up and understanding what's going on. I do not want to come in here with a surprise and you wondering where the heck you get that from.
So this is the same property we're talking about
Right.
before, right? Where you've already got some that's already reserved.
Right.
The family wants some, and then the rest of it is what's being applied for.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve, submit an application to the state of Michigan for the Falker Farm and the PDR program.
I'll support.
Support by Lisa. Do you have any other discussion at all? Mike, did you have any more questions?
No, I'm good.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes.
Giorgio?
Yes.
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 Okay, now number 3, which is,
Number 3 is, I'm learning how this kind of works, so I'm trying to get ahead, being I know we have an application, and by the way, the committee is accepting other applications until July 7th for anybody else who wants to submit, because there's a lot of legwork rounding around and getting information. We, excuse me, in the past have always got, and contributed, a pledge from the participating townships. If we get enough funds to complete a deal, the townships would pledge to kick in $500 so we can have it on paper to show the state the commitment. With grants, some of them say you got this much money, you're willing to match with it. But this only applies if we come up with the rest of the funds, like from the state grant. It'd be a pledge from the township saying, if you come up with this amount of funds to complete the deal, we'll contribute $500. And if this all works out, that $500 won't be due until 2025, because the application cycle ends for the state at the end of this year, but we won't know until 2024. And then it takes the rest of the paperwork to get everything in ducks in line and whatnot. Just like you just done recently, I believe you sent in the $500 for the Richmond Township property, which was done in 2022.
right, and in which if Falker's property does get approved, then all the other 6 communities, including us, would all have to kick in the $500.
That's where we're going so far. We got Richmond and Armada, and I believe Ray. So I'm here tonight to ask you, because usually I'm running around in November and December of this year trying to get this.
So the $500 becomes an obligation if something in one of those 3 communities gets approved?
No.
Only in our community?
Well, it'd be the 6 townships, because what it is, all 6 townships, the residents, property owners can submit applications. We got our own scoring system, and from there, we usually take the top 2 or 3 and send it to the state, and it goes against their scoring system. And at the state level, they only have it where 1 applicant per program could be selected depending on how they score. So we'd be looking at, hopefully if everybody's willing to contribute again, 3,000 coming from the 6 townships. If everything falls in line and the stars align right.
So if you look at the minutes, we back in November 17 of 2021 did approve to go ahead and support the $500 donation. along with their $250 annual subscription, I guess you'd say, to.
Okay.
So right now, we do have a farm, which is the Richmond, the farm in Richmond, that was approved for the program, so now he's out trying to. get
Do it again
$500
for the
Same thing
next,
will take place if Falker's farm gets selected, but he said the funds won't be due until 2025. We don't have anything for 2024 right now on, it did nothing. for
no,
our area.
we didn't have, unfortunately, we didn't have no applications sent in for this 20, well, it was 2023 was when they
Right.
did their selection. So I know it's getting a little confusing playing with dates, just like income tax day and budgets and whatnot.
So, I mean,
So that's why I'm just asking if you'd be willing to pledge for this next application like you
yes,
did in the
I'll make
past.
a motion to go ahead and support the annual support for the state grant awards as presented as for
Because you're supporting the pledge.
$500, yeah, that we agreed on.
To renew it, the $500 pledge.
I'll second that motion.
So to renew Bruce Township's pledge of $500 for the 2025 missionary welfare month.
I think it's not.
No, 2024.
Why don't we list the name of the farm? That's Vern, I know it's not on here, but Vern, what's Vern's last name?
Coleman?
Coleman. It's a Vern Coleman farm in Richmond. We're going to support the,
Wait,
Well,
for Vern Coleman?
no.
no. We're just supporting a pledge if any farm in any of the 6
Townships,
Oh, so we already did the 500 for Vern.
right.
I'm one step
And you,
ahead of you.
and you did the other one for this last check for 500 was for the Firstenhouse property, which hopefully be closing this June.
So I'll stay
So
with
to
my,
renew Bruce Township's pledge of $500 for the 2024 Michigan Agricultural Preservation Fund grant.
Correct.
um,
I think we had a motion.
I motion, I think you seconded mine.
I seconded
Yes,
it.
okay, for more discussion. Tremblay.
Yes.
Philbrook.
Yes.
Giorgio.
Yes.
Crafty.
Yes.
Crafty, yes.
Okay, got one more.
One more?
What, just FYI, and I've told you in the past that I was on the State Ag Preservation Fund Board that gave out these grants, but it's a appointed position, it's a non-paying position, and it's a position that the governor by themselves can appoint. And our appointments, there's 5 appointed positions, and two other ones are the Director of Department of Ag and the Director of Department of Natural Resource, 7-member board. And they haven't done any reappointments for, say, 6 or 7 years. And now with Governor Grinch Whitmer, they were working on appointments for 2 years. And I found out last week, Friday, out of the 5 members, only 1 got reappointed, and I wasn't one of them. So, but that doesn't mean I'm going away.
Oh, you can, I mean, you do a great job. I mean, I sit with you on the commission, I mean, you do a wonderful job.
Thanks for all your work, though.
No,
Yeah,
but I just, FYI, make everybody aware of what's going on and still working at it.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Other than that, is there any, if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you.
You did a great job.
Okay, thank you,
Anybody
thank you
from
very
the
much.
Audience at all, anybody got questions for Mr. Cooker?
Fix the damn nose.
Thanks, Ken.
If I seen her, I'll tell her you said that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Moving on to item 7E, the Bruce Cemetery Association request. This is kind of something we do every year.
Wait. What
Isn't that-
about
am I one
the
in?
C?
Oh, set the
40.
public hearing for 40. I'll make a motion to go ahead and set a public hearing for the Cordy IFT for our May 17, 2023 meeting.
Second?
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 7E, the Bruce Cemetery donation. This is a donation that we do pretty much annually. Steve Farr Usually sends us a letter, which he did on March 9th, 2023, looking for any donation the township can give him. I think historically, I think it's been $1,500. Was it? $1,250.
It has been both, 1250.
Just think with the cost of, I mean, we all know the cost of fuels and maintenance, and I mean, to make a $1,500 towards that cemetery, I don't think it's much, and that's all we pay a year, the cost and the upkeep of that cemetery. And I think that we should move it from $1,250 to $1,500. I mean, I'm open for any type of
Support.
conversation.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 7F, the cemetery sexton contract. Mike?
Yeah, I make a motion for the board to accept this 3-year contract from Yard Services. Everything pretty much remained the same. From last year, I think it only went up like $1.50.
I'll support. If there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
I got discussion. Weren't we supposed to, was this one where we had some gentlemen in our audience that was going to do it?
Nobody showed up.
Nobody showed up.
Right, last year, right.
Well, right tonight, even nobody showed up either, so.
Okay. Thank you.
We were talking about putting it out for bid, but if there's no,
No one interested?
obviously,
Okay.
you're both from Yard Services, mom and son, right?
Okay.
Thank you, you guys did a great job over at McCaffrey. They recapped it yesterday, or the day before.
Bruce, our manager will be next week.
Awesome, thank you.
So,
Looks good.
you made a motion, you seconded?
Yes.
You both of you guys are taking our good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. No question.
Okay.
Do we need a roll call or just all approved?
Wait, no. Oh, we did it.
Okay. Giorgio.
Yes.
Crafty.
Yes.
Cowboy.
Yes.
Yes, Philbrook.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to, what? Go. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 7G, the Romeo Community Schools Tower Contract. This has gone back and forth between our attorney and Mike's looked at it. I know I've added to it and taken away from it, and I think we've got a final document tonight, which everybody's got in front of them. It's about putting a repeater tower, a repeater antenna on top of the tower in order for our school bus drivers to be able to communicate to the bus garage in the event of an emergency. There are areas in our township that are very rural, and there's areas in our township where they have no communication at all. So the school did approach us. We had the tower on 36 Mile Road, asked us if we would entertain the fact that they would put a repeater tower on that, and we said that we would. They did pretty much draw up the contract, and it's been back and forth between our attorneys. So this is what we have in front of us. They had a 30-year lease on this, or was it an 80-year lease, Mike?
I know.
But we did,
Nice improvement.
so we went to a 7-year lease. Basically, it gets through through our current board and through the next current board before it's.
Yeah, we gotta stay away from those long term.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things you gotta keep
Yeah,
back.
30 years.
That's a long time.
So if nobody's got
Lot can
any,
change in 30 years.
anything else to add, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the cooperative agreement between the Romeo Community Schools and Bruce Township as presented. Support by Frank. If there's no other discussion, can we?
I have a couple questions, Mike.
Sure. Let's see if I can answer them.
One of the obligations for the township is to have liability insurance. Do we have? It's section B5, B5, Roman at 5.
So the
The $1 million policies for 3 different areas. General liability, personal injury,
hold on, give me that page again, Mike.
bottom of page 3,
In what paragraph?
5, Roman at 5. There's three different million dollar level insurance coverage. Property damage, personal injury, and general liability insurance.
So I think-
All for $1 million.
I mean,
And
I
naming the
guess,
school district as an additional insured on the general liability policy, I just want to make sure we do that to make, we keep our obligation.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that we have probably a minimum of $1 million of liability coverage, but I can double check with our carrier. We should know after, it's, at Tokyo Marine.
So I can't approve the motion as stated then, without verification that we have. I would, if the motion were changed to that, I would do that. We'd have to have someone withdraw.
What are the other questions before we go ahead and change the motion?
The legal review, the contract.
Yes, this is the final document from.
And does the district pay for the legal review, or do we pay for it?
I don't get the invoices, so I don't know. I'm going to want to believe that the legal review was probably paid for by the township. From Bob Seaver.
I would suggest when you're giving away something for free, that the benefiting party pay for the cost.
But then again, I also look at it as it's benefiting the children in our community, as the taxpayers and residents.
But they have a budget, and they have an obligation. Frank's got over that
Yeah,
discussion.
because we
Security.
write a lot of checks to those schools, and it's a lot of
So,
money.
I just think the obligation to pay for something belongs
get
to
it.
I mean,
with the organization.
I agree with helping, the kids and all that stuff, but there comes a point that where they need to take ownership of their budget and make some necessary cuts and spend their money properly. There's too much administrative staff, in my opinion, in this.
They're putting a lot of costs into the installation of this tower. I know that it's not a cheap thing, and that's why they wanted such a long term. So, I mean, it is, they're putting in a lot in and out of their own pocket. I mean, and us to cover it as far as review fees, that's why.
I just have a fundamental
I understand.
belief that if you're the benefiting party and you're getting something for free, that any costs associated with that you should pay for.
So approve the cooperative agreement with Vermont Community Schools of Bruce Township as presented contingent upon verification of insurance coverage.
Is that your motion? Because we have a motion on the floor.
Right, I'm saying, can you?
Yeah, 1 million liability.
For the three.
Listing additional insurers.
No, you made the motion, right?
Mike's changing his motion,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Withdraw your old
Whatever
one,
you were-
bring the new one.
What I said, okay, and then Frank, you seconded?
Yeah.
We'll do that by roll call, please.
Yes.
Jerry Hill,
Yes.
Bill Brook,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to item 7H, the Twin Brooks Memorandum of Understanding. We have two gentlemen here from Twin Brooks, Sam and Don.
UVA's.
Hi, my name is Sam Michael. I'm at 11857 Twin Brooks Drive. I'm part of the association there on the board of directors and Don here.
Don Griffin, 11878 Twin Brooks.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
We provided Mike with a cover letter, data sheets, and a graph for that data. The reason we're here is because in 2012, we had a memorandum of understanding, and at that time, it was agreed upon to pay us $600 a year for the
What year was
transfer
that,
station.
Sam?
Pardon me?
What year was that?
2012. And this is for the transfer station. There's only one meter there, so we're sharing that meter.
Is that the same as the lift station, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, maybe I called it, it should be a lift station.
It is a lift station.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what happened back then was a couple things. We had only 21 people. Now we're gradually getting to our maximum, which is 48. We'll be at 48 probably maybe the end of this year, maybe beginning of next year. We have done everything we can at our end to lower costs for electricity. We took all the high-pressure sodium lights, we took out all the ballast, and we are now running them with LEDs, 13-watt usually, LED lights. One of the other thing is there's, I know your transfer station depends on how many people are on that system and how hard it works, how much kilowatt hours you're going to be using. And everything's based on kilowatt hours for what we're charged from DTE. And I think at the time of it, when this was originally done, I believe it was only 12 cents a kilowatt hour back then. Now I believe it's 14 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's gone significantly higher. So what I tried to do, you know, since we don't have separate meters, I tried to be innovative. I looked at, okay, let's take just the months of January, February, and March, and then October, November, December. The reason why we picked those months is because that's when our fountain is off and also when our sprinkler system's off. So the only thing we're really using are the streetlights. So I gave you data for the streetlights on 71903 Cosmo Circle, and I gave you data for streetlights that were, and the transfer station, which is on the 11822 meter. And I took those 6 months and I tried to average it. So the last column in that, what I gave you is an average for the data on both the
141.48.
171.48, yeah, that's the one for 118822. That's the one that has this transfer station.
And if you take out the streetlights, which just average it out at $30, brings
Yes.
it down to 141.48 on an average, times it by 12, it's $1,697 a year annually. We're paying you guys $600 for a $1,600 bill. You guys
Right.
are paying.
The other thing we have installed there is another meter for the pond right now.
Yeah, let's talk about one at a time, maybe.
Okay.
It'd be best, instead of confusing them.
All right.
So what Don and Sam did is they broke it down pretty good for us. Obviously, you got in your board packet the months that he was talking about, obviously copies of their DTE bills. They do have a meter on the west side, or on the east side, which runs streetlights only. We're able to take the price of what that meter is, basically, and what it costs to run the streetlights. And that comes out to about a $30 a month average. So if we take that off the current bill when they're not running their irrigation pump or their pond water fountain, which he was saying through 6 months, January, February, March, October, November, December, the average monthly cost is $171.48. Take off the $30 for the electrical for the lighting, it comes out to $141.48 to run the lift station. It's like $83.30 a month. We're currently paying $50 a month, so you don't have to write all that down, Susan. So what they're looking for right now is they're looking to go, again, that was when there was 21, they were getting $600 when there was 21 units, and now they're at 43, and when they get built out, which will be pretty soon, they'll be at 48.
Yeah, we're recently right now at 45. We had 2 more closures, so,
And 48's the max, right?
and 48's the max, correct.
48 residential units,
Correct.
Right.
and you
They're
had
condos.
21 at the time.
And we had 21 at the time, correct.
So they're looking for an increase of $400 to $1,000, which I don't feel is unreasonable.
You're asking to go from 600 to 1,000?
Well, actually, we were hoping for a little bit more than that because of the cost of electricity going up.
But what's your request?
Well,
Well, we're talking, the $200 on the other pump would be separate, so we'd be looking at $1,200. We're actually doubling what we're going to be paying, what we're paying currently.
Right.
yes.
Is that-
1,200 is the request?
Well, there's another item that we're going to be talking about, which is an additional $200 for another meter that's there, and I'll explain that in a minute.
So what's the total request?
1,000 on this one?
Yeah, 1,000 on this one, and then the 200 on the
So 1,200 total?
1,200 total,
So
correct.
it'd be $100 a month versus 50.
The second meter, if I can explain that one, there was a dry fire hydrant that was installed in Twin Brooks back in the day. There was an issue that if the fire department ever did need to use that dry fire hydrant for a fire maybe at Twin Brooks, it could be over in Covered Bridge, it doesn't make a difference where it's at. They could very easily drain that pump and suck that pump down. The issue is how do we get the pond to be filled, and I think at that time you guys had an agreement, probably with the previous administration, to go and put a well system in.
Correct.
So they could flip a switch, there you have a 2-horse pump with a 30-gallon, a 2-horse motor with a 30-gallon per minute pump that will fill the pond back up over a period of probably a couple of days, maybe, I would think. So that's set up on a separate meter, and they're looking to us, the meter was actually shut off for a little while.
Right.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
They currently put it back in their name, they're looking for us to pay them the $200 a year service fee on that, basically, in case of, if it's ever needed to, for an emergency.
So how does this work? We send them a check once a month for this,
Once every, in April, I think it is, you send us a check
for the year?
for the year.
For the year, yeah.
And that goes to the association?
Right. Goes to the management company,
RMS,
RMS.
our management company.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the $1,200 payment to, what was the name? RCM?
RMM.
Realty Mart
Realty Mart
Management.
Management.
To our Realty Mart Management.
Realty Mart.
Realty Mart, M-A-R-T, Management.
Or,
For the purpose, I think you need to add to that motion so it's clear in the minutes.
Okay, so why don't we say that we'll make a motion to approve $1,000 for the lift station,
No, I'm not talking about breaking it out, but I think for the purpose of the lift station and
$1,200 total for the lift station and the emergency pond fill
to support Twin Brooks.
to support Twin Brooks.
Yeah, so the minutes are clear. It's not-
I agree, because we're looking at the minutes from 2012 right here.
these,
Someone support, second it?
Mike made a motion, I support.
What was the question, Frank?
Are these bills on a budget? You know how they can take your annual cost and put it in a
No.
12-month budget?
No.
Have you ever thought about doing that, just out of curiosity, so that it's,
Well, it's so hard to segregate that right now because of the way the system is set up.
okay.
You know, we're kind of throwing arrows at it and saying, you know, we're taking the average to try to give everybody
I see.
the right cost, and you can't do anything else because it all depends on how many people are in the condos, when the fan runs for the air conditioner, when it runs in the wintertime for the heater, and it's very difficult unless you put a separate meter in there.
Which we still can look at, I mean, there's not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I think you guys did a very good job of providing an analysis.
We tried.
There is one more equation that they just came up with, they're gonna charge more per kilowatt between the hours of 3 PM and 7 PM.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So that you didn't figure in.
We can come back.
Flush it.
We could come back.
That's your homework.
No showers, no.
Okay, guys, keep up the good work, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah, we'll do a roll call.
Crafty? Yes. DeGiorgio?
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
you guys don't wanna stay for the rest of the meeting? You look like you're having such a great time.
We gotta go home and go to bed. It's after 7.
Yes.
Yeah, Teresa.
Really quick. And, you know, I've been to meetings since 2008, but you're going to have to refresh my memory. Why is it that we're covering that lift station? I remember they had a failure in their, the well system. Is that
Same
correct?
reason why
Or is
we-
that, am I getting those confused?
Same reason why we pay the one in Covered Bridge. We pay the electricity.
We don't have a lift station in Covered Bridge. That's Chase Farms, that's why I'm asking.
Covered Bridge has got a lift station also. It's out in front of your complex. So some of Chase Farms comes into your complex, but all of Chase Farms, or all of Covered Bridge goes into that lift station. It's right in the front.
I know it's in the front, but I thought that lift station was put in because Chase Farms couldn't get into our sewer system, and so they installed that lift station to bring that into the sewer system to take it out. Do I
All
have
of our
that
lift-
wrong?
Yeah, all the lift stations, we can't count, the problem we've got is we can't count on individual people to maintain such a serious part of our infrastructure. The maintenance, we have a guy that goes out there once a week to maintain those lift stations. He does a maintenance cycle on them that, you know, just the other day they were replacing the batteries and the backup generators and battery backups and all the electronics that are inside the lift stations. We can't count on them to do the sufficient, I guess, maintenance that's required on them in order to keep them efficiently operating. So that's part of being a municipality. That's why we frown on having any kind of a lift station, because there is a cost that's involved.
Okay, and so none of that cost is passed along to the residents then, other than as a whole community we pay
Much
for?
part of our sewer district, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's unfortunate. You're right. And they do, They did, they were on and that was something that maybe could have been worked out with the previous administration when they went from a septic to a lift station, you know, so.
Do they pay any part of that at all? Like, we have to pay to have our sewer, you know, done through Romeo, obviously, because I'm on sewer. Do they pay anything to be part of that lift station, to have the sewer, or no?
That's part of your ready to serve fees and things that you pay.
So they are paying that then in there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
They pay the same as you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, thanks, Patrice. Moving on to item 7, the building department fee schedule. So we all talked about this fee schedule a little bit. Christine White came on not too long ago, and she was questioning some of our fees that we were charging in our building department. So she did take the initiative. She did a lot of work putting together this fee schedule that you guys have in front of you. She did all the comparisons. She spoke with all the inspectors, mechanical and electrical, and then she also communicated with our building inspector, Ray Hicks, and this is the document and fee schedule that she recommends. I went through it. I found only one error that I could find, and that was on our hydrant, our hydrant fee. That was it, but if anybody's got any questions or?
Purpose of her putting this together, so that way eliminating cost of the township. You know, people come in to build a house, or, correct me if I'm wrong, but build a house or do whatever they need to do. They're paying only for one inspection, but there's times they go up to 2 or 3, and it's costing the township. Then now we're putting the onus on the developer.
They were charging for re-inspection in the event that they were denied or something like that. There are a lot of times that, you're right, things, we were losing money on most of our permits.
So this fee schedule gets us out of subsidizing the permitting process.
It's still staying in line with our neighboring community. And one key question that I asked her is this fee schedule going to be good for the next 5 years? Is this going to, I mean, maybe currently we're in line with our neighboring communities, but maybe they're going to be raising their fees in another year or so. And she feels pretty confident these fees she's got on here should be good for quite a few years.
At least 5 to 10 years? Or
So we're just addressing the fee schedule part of this letter, not the other piece of repaying our inspector, right?
This is just a fee schedule. What are you talking about?
I'm requesting that a backup inspector be paid. So that's really what we pay people versus an inspection fee for our constituents.
Did you see something about a backup inspector, you say?
So I'm just saying, in that letter, there's a request to increase the pay for an inspector and also a backup inspector to be paid a flat fee. Are we approving that, or are we just approving the fees, and you as the manager of this department is going to handle the other part?
Yeah, we're going to approve exactly this document that was presented to us, as presented, the fee schedule and even with the percentage of.
So we're approving the raise?
Right.
And we're approving the flat fee for the backup inspector too? Because your motion's got to be clear on what we're.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the.
The fee schedule and then talk about the.
Well, I mean, that's part of the fee schedule, I think. Isn't that part of the fee schedule?
No, this is how you pay your people that are doing the service. The fee schedule is what you pay or ask the residents to pay.
I know, but they were at 100% on that, and I think that we moved it to 75%, but I don't want to say something out of line, but originally it was 100% when we came on, and we changed that to 75%.
No, I'm okay with that piece. I'm talking about the paragraphs below that.
Yeah, you're talking about 8% salary.
8% salary increase, and the
I
inspector
forgot
will
about
pay a flat fee. I don't know, is that what we're approving too?
So Ray.
Or are we just approving the fee schedule stuff?
No, that was a recommendation. So Ray's been here 8 years, I think it is. He's had one raise in 8 years, I think. And I think I should have wrote it down. I think it was a 2% raise in 8 years. Do you recall?
He did get a 2% yes last year.
So out of the 8 years that Ray's been here, he's
No,
only,
he started much lower than this one.
but he hasn't been compensated though, right? he hasn't been compensated. That's why she's recommended that he would get a raise. He started at a low fee, or low scale.
He gets all the benefits and all the health insurance or other benefits, all
Is
the
he
life
part of the
insurance,
union or
and he is not part of the
No.
union. He doesn't take,
So
he
he's
comes
just a
and goes.
contractor.
Well,
Well, he's not a
he's not
contractor,
employed,
he's
but
getting
he's not in
benefits.
the union. And he comes and goes, kind of has his own schedule whenever he wants.
He does a great job, though. He gets the job done. I mean, a couple of issues once in a while, but nothing to really, but again, he's been here 8 years. His father
So he
was,
has a base salary,
Yes.
and it's not based on effort, it's just based on holding the position.
Which is comparable.
and he got a 2% of was last year, you're saying?
So it's a part-time job, I think.
No, it's full-time.
But
He's here
he
full-time.
can vacation whenever he wants. He doesn't put in, everybody else puts in their slips and their vacation.
And has paid time off or whatever, and he still gets his salary.
I think 8% is high.
So in other words, you're not saying no, you're just
Yeah.
saying a different figure.
We all got 1%.
Why don't we approve the fee schedule? Let's-
Yeah, that's
Let's
what
approve
I'm
it,
saying.
it should be different motions
So I'll-
anyways.
Yeah,
Well, it's still the fee schedule is presented, the raise is a separate thing. I'll support, I'll make a motion to go and approve the fee schedule as presented
I'll
by
second
Christine White, our building.
or,
Yeah, to go into effect May 1st. Got to have it noticed, so.
By May 1st.
May
Is that enough time? Yeah. Support by Frank or
like,
Mike? Okay, support by Mike. Can we get a roll call?
Crappy,
Yes.
Giorgio,
yes.
Tremblay.
Yes.
Philbrook,
Yes.
Kraft, yes.
And I'd like to recommend putting the whole Ray Hicks discussion on another meeting with more information. I can't just make a decision to give somebody an 8% increase because it's recommended by someone. I don't have enough.
And I'm gonna recommend it too. He's been here 8 years. He does a great job. I've got no issues with him. I know it seems like maybe he's in and out a lot, but he's on inspections. He does do a really good job. I mean, if 8% seems to be too high, I don't know what other kind of information you really want from him.
Well, I want to know what his current salary is and
Well, that's in
an
your
actual.
budget. You should have it right in your packet.
I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, Michael.
She's got it right in.
So, and that is in, I want to know what the current rate is for other full-time employees in other townships doing the same job. And to me, I don't know based on the number of hours.
We don't have data to make a good decision.
I don't have enough data to make a good decision.
Table.
Table it till the next meeting, and if that information can be presented. And I just, on another, this is purely from a resident perspective, when I was not on the board and was working with Ray on an issue, if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, he had told me that he was only supposed to be working part-time, and he was trying to balance the amount of time that he was in the office, so, or doing this job, and it was becoming more of a full-time job. So I really, that's part of my concern. I'd like to understand really how many hours is he putting in for the week.
His hours are a little shorter, and he's
Right.
about 8, he leaves at 3, but, it's still, I'd say that's what he's.
Still
I mean, when he
30-some
first started
hours.
though, and he was paid the salary 8 years ago, this township's been building quite a bit since then. I know he's been on a lot, he goes on a lot of inspection.
I agree, and I just would like a little bit more information before I'm giving somebody else somebody an 8% increase.
So motion to table discussion on these.
Covered under unfinished business in our May meeting.
So, we have a second.
I need a motion, did someone second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll get that information.
That motion also includes this backup inspector recommendation too, Lisa?
Yes.
You know what the backup inspector is, right?
If he's not around?
when he's gone, we have to have somebody do our inspections, which we have, Dave from Washington Township does a great job at that.
Okay.
I mean, again, we've got it great, I don't know what, I'll get more information for you.
Thank you.
Moving on to, item 7J, the grant applications. The only thing I have is I got received some information from the state of Michigan, which is all to you, that we were denied on the water grant.
Is that for, which one is that?
That's the water right grant.
That was the $2 million one?
Yeah. Right.
Do they provide reasons?
They did a final review, they were doing a few weeks ago, and we didn't, prior to the, I mean, the wording I've always heard all along that we were looking at being approved for the grant, and then they had some, during a final review a few weeks ago, it sounds like that's when we got cut. I don't even know. I asked the questions, and so I could do a better job of writing the grant in the future, and I really never got a straight answer.
So who makes the decision on what goes forward? Is it the plan?
Yes,
Yeah, are we talking about the one you just applied for?
not the one for the sewer, this is for the water, for $2 million.
So I know for the one that just went in, there were 50 applicants.
This one, there were 50.
Is ours part of this list, or we were excluded from the list?
There's 55 applicants for this year, the 2023. We did apply for 2024. This is the 2024. We applied for last year. The one for this coming year, I don't know how many they got. But it says right, maybe in the email, it said there were 55 applicants, and this is the ones that they ended up picking out of 55.
And no explanation.
Couldn't get an explanation.
You know where Lisa LaPlante lives?
I know her personally,
In
so
Bruce Township.
I'll probably call her.
Thank you. Thanks for the update.
She has someone in her office that makes the recommendations to her, so.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. But you can see
Did she know
there's
we had applied?
What's that?
Did somebody grease the skids with her, make sure that she knew we had applied?
Like I said, I mean, I know her personally, and I just wanted to run this without calling her and trying to say, I didn't think it was right. I mean, I put in my application, just like everybody else. I mean, what am I didn't want to call her and say, hey,
Without us.
right. I mean,
She give you her number, I'll tell her.
but if we didn't do something right, or if there was something that she requested or that she wanted that she didn't get, then, I mean, we need to figure it out and make the next one better, I guess.
I would have just called her to make her aware that we had applied. That's all.
She was fully aware of the fact that we applied.
Okay.
I would like to reiterate.
She did the
that all
final.
these need to come before us before they get
Yeah, true.
submitted.
But that's all I got on the grants. The other one was submitted. Unfortunate, we really needed that water main extension too.
Well, is that one they do every year? Because the other one they do every year.
Every year, and we wrote one for this year, which is the sewer work that we're gonna have done. So basically, when we get approved for that, that won't be until 2024. And then so we're looking at 2 years from now before we even think about even getting a shovel in the ground for water. That's the issue. This thing, I applied for that thing last summer, or last spring, I think. This is the first week of May. All right. Anybody else got anything on grant applications? Chief, you put in anything on grants?
Nope, I don't.
Any status on what the guys did, the 15,000 one with AAA?
I don't think it turns over that fast.
Okay.
Like, I turned into one for the power load, power pass.
Yeah, you said you got it, right?
No, that was the SCBA. That
Ah.
was 2021.
So the latest one you did, you haven't heard yet?
No, that's usually around August.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7K, which is the fire department promotions. I wanted to remove that at the beginning of the agenda, and she did notify me that 2 of the members weren't here, able to make the promotions tonight, so
I'll check with the federal and they said May is fine.
May's fine, so we're gonna move that to May.
Does that mean they're effective in May? They're effective now? So do we have to approve those, or do we just, is it just FYI?
To recognize them, I think.
Oh, so it's just a formal recognition? Okay.
Did you want to mention your names? Or you want to wait till, you're just waiting?
Keep everybody. This is-
Don't burst my bubble.
I know, right, keep getting suspended
Yeah.
until they step up.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
It's like the surprise party. Don't tell me I'm having a surprise party.
Mike, item 7L would be planning commission goals.
Yeah, we massaged them a little bit, the planning commission goals. They're essentially what they were last year, with just minor word changing. We did discuss them all and agreed to keep them all on. So unless you guys have any discussion, my recommendation is that we recognize the planning commission goals as presented. But if there's discussion and you don't agree with any of them or want them changed, we can take it back to the planning commission goals. Essentially the same as last year, for the most part.
What do we currently do with the Orchard Trail?
Yeah, it's a motion just to.
I'll second it.
Second by Susan. I'm open for discussion.
Which one was that, Mike?
Um,
Other?
Yeah, under the Macomb Orchard Trail, it says we should support, I don't know
Yeah.
what we currently, I mean, I think it's great, I mean, but what we're currently doing, I'm unaware of it.
There aren't any activities at the current time, but in the event that there are, that affect our township, we just make a recommendation that the township continue to support it. Because it goes right through our township. But there's no activity today. But I mean, if they need a repaving or they want to do something, it doesn't mean we support them financially, but we support the direction.
Yeah, I thought it was good. And with Macomb County, I mean, we do work on a lot of that stuff with the brush removal and obstructions and visibility. It's just, they got a pretty busy schedule. We're trying to catch some illegal dumping. Right now, we're digging through garbage, you know, to try to catch and maybe issue a few citations and try to keep it.
You mean along the trail?
Well, this is another section here. This is under section 3, working with Macomb County Road Commission, Michigan Department of Transportation.
Oh, you know what that is?
Brush removal, obstruction,
Yes.
visibility, ditches, things like
Number 5, you mean?
that. Number 3.
Oh, number 3. Yeah.
There is a lot of work that needs to be done throughout our township regarding all those subjects.
Yep. Number 5 had a lot of discussion just because of that 33-mile road exit, the safety issues. And I just made a comment that in order to improve that would require a substantial amount of money, and that I think it's the state of the county.
What are you doing that
Has
to?
improved it by putting some signage and lights, you know, in order to reconstruct that thing with major money. It was built that way on a budget. The township contributed $400,000 towards the total cost, I think, of 1.4, 1.5 million.
We're still paying for it.
We're still paying for it. And it was put there to try and enhance our industrial district, commercial district over there. And some people criticize it because it's not wide enough, the ramp is short. In order to change that, they would have to move the utility box, which would have about $500,000 was the quote I was told, so they built into a budget.
That's the water, that's the Great Lakes water main.
That great
It's coming
big green
through.
box.
Yeah.
So
That 96-inch
I
main.
think they've done what they can economically to make it a little safe with signage.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Mike, guys do a great job.
Can I do a roll call?
No, we got one more, we got item 7M, are we gonna do the limestone or no?
Mayor and Ann, Planning Commission goals.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Oh,
And Susan second, so we just have to do a roll call, right?
Just all yay.
Or
All
all
yay?
in favor?
Yeah, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to call you.
I'll get ahead of this. Item 7M, the limestone program. I mean, obviously, we do that every year. It shows a breakdown of our cost. It does, I think, what we would like to see, if you look at the last page, it shows you the the roads that were determined to do this year in regards to kind of a spreadsheet and recommendations from residents and also from on behalf of the road commission.
We pay 10% of the cost, right?
That's correct.
It's already budgeted and already voted on.
Right.
So the limestone program this year is going to cost Bruce Township $3105. Cost for the county is $310,000. So we're paying $31,000, 10%. But that's, yeah, as a paper third.
And Mike, how did you determine the roads?
We have a sheet that's been going back when Paul was doing it, and Richard has a copy of it, and it's, goes back to when the limestone program started, so we kind of look at the roads that, I guess, that are in need of repair right now, that are
The worst roads?
worst roads, but then we also look at which ones, weren't done, and we try to just keep, rotating. But there are other roads that need it. I mean, and I mentioned in my newsletter, people would like to see, like East Pond Creek Road done, which is a dead end. I tried to get that on there. Roads like McHale, areas of Fisher, Wales, they won't touch them. They're natural beauty roads. They won't trim back the roads. They say they have a hard time getting the trucks up in the air. We even made suggestions for them to dump the semi in one certain area and move it with a loader, but they just won't do it. It's not part of the, what's that?
It's way over natural beauty road.
Yeah.
So the county won't touch.
They just, it's, basically the wording that I got is it's not part of what the limestone program was designed for. They're trying to focus on more of a thoroughfare roads and busier, higher travel. They want to be able to drive the trucks in there basically and dump them and pull ahead. So you're talking semis with the front and rear leads on them. Tried to get Peters Drive done this year too, which was denied. And they assure me that we're going to bring in small trucks and we're going to add to them, but they don't bring very many small trucks in, just enough to get by. And the problem is the roads are graded down below the shoulders, so the water really has no way to drain off, so then a lot of times there's mud that stays there for long periods of time. Kids waiting for the school buses are standing in the mud, so. But these are the 3 miles of roads that need to be done this year.
Thanks for your time and effort, Mike. I'm sure it
Well, it's-
took a lot of time to put all
Yeah,
this
thanks,
into
Mike. Appreciate it.
consideration.
No, I mean,
You know better than I do. So
anybody
thank
wants to
you.
look
I
at the map,
appreciate it.
or the chart that's going on, I got a chart, so. Maybe campground might need to be done next year, so, I gotta look at it. I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, high traffic.
They grade it every couple of weeks. They could do good job.
Yeah, a lot
Their
of
road,
calls
they-
on
yeah.
33 mile.
33-mile roads, the worst. I mean, we're doing from Fisher to DeQuinder. 33-mile road, we do get a lot of calls on it, not just for the potholes, but the dust and the mud and everything else. So hopefully we'll resurface 33-mile road. They'll put 8 inches of limestone on that. Should give them a good base for quite a while. But, it's the best we can do. It's a dirt road, any way you want to put it.
Any other conversations?
Saved by the bell.
Yeah, I do. I just want to give you guys an update what's going on in the planning.
So do we need to approve the
Oh,
roads that,
That's what I meant to.
we can do it just by,
Okay, it's just, it's submitted, so it's.
the roads are okay then?
Oh, on limestone?
Miles of roads are okay?
That was just FYI, right?
Yeah, that was, okay, that's what I was making sure of. Okay. Good deal. Okay.
What was that, Mike, you were going to say?
I thought we were on 8.
Oh, excuse me.
I
Communication?
got ahead of myself, too.
We can go to communications. Go ahead with, start us out on communications, item 7-8.
Okay, we already talked about physical fitness establishment. We approved that here. The planning commission made the recommendation on it. There's some property on Van Dyke, just north of Katy. On the right-hand side, you might have seen it was cleared out. There were some tires there. A gentleman came in here and wanted to do a 6-plex. We sent it back to the drawing board.
and he's going to come back in May. Table it, just come back in May. Basically giving the message it's too dense. We've got other areas near there that we've already said no to. This would be about twice as dense what we said no to already, so he's going to go back to the drawing board. Solar energy, we do not have anything in our ordinance book, and it's starting to become a matter in our township where people with large parcels of property being addressed, so we've got a public hearing in May for that ordinance, and then that'll come to us in May to review and approve. Grace Lutheran Church got a pavilion approved with a couple of small contingencies. And the really good news is we approved 3 site plans in our industrial district. 40, site 8, site 9, and then there's a development across from the medical facilities. 14,100, 13 mile, that site plan is also approved. So we're going to see some building going on over there.
Hey,
Sorry,
Mike,
Eric,
what
on
size
this
was that pavilion that was approved for Grace Lutheran?
I don't remember.
Okay.
1,200?
What was it?
1,200?
40 by 40.
40 by 40, 1,600.
Perfect.
It all broke down masonry, because I took Daniel, an engineer, you know.
Well, no,
Yeah.
exactly. I was thinking for Parks and Rec, we're on the same
I'll
page.
get you a copy of it.
Thank you.
You'll probably see it tomorrow, actually.
One of the people that is part of the family that owns Van Dyke Liquor was looking at doing a smoke shop. We don't allow smoke shops, sand law. But we're going to review some wording in our APC meeting to determine if we can live with some of the wording. We were looking at it if we did do special land use, so we could look at all of it. We'll be looking at it in May, and if we grant it, we will come in June. Public review and then to us. And the depth to width ratio that we have in Bruce Township is 4 to 1. And that exists for any parcel of any size. At the ZBA, they had one that came in for, I think we talked about that here, I said, go watch that meeting, it was a really good meeting. So we reviewed that at the planning commission, and we're gonna do a public hearing on changing that, so our acreage bigger than 10 acres, rather than do a 4 to 1 ratio, we're gonna do that as long as the frontage is according to the ordinance, and you don't have to meet that.
Yeah,
We were kind of out of whack with a lot of other communities with respect to that, and the state itself doesn't have a 4 to 1 ratio or acreage bigger than that, so we're just going to become more in line with what's going on.
You have one more coming up this month, too. Yeah, you got
one coming up, another ZBA meeting in April.
same reason.
Yep. Okay, that's all I got. I did have a plant ramp, are they coming in? Oh, for you guys.
This is a Zoom, ain't it? Isn't it a Zoom?
Yeah, he's coming live.
I'm interested to hear what they got to say.
We tried for the last week, but
I know.
we don't have Zoom access, we now have that.
Regarding site plan, I'm sorry, for the smoke tobacco shop, is there a reason, that seems like in line with liquor store, drugstore, which is all currently allowed in our C2 district, that we would have
It's
to...
okay as long as it's not your whole business. Like the Van Dyke Liquor does have that kind of stuff, but we don't have it where it's a standalone.
Business.
So we're gonna review some language to see what we can do. Because you just don't want to allow anyone to do it. You want to look at and have what are the hours of operations, where's it going to be located, all that.
But then, why, we don't have that currently with our C2 businesses. What I'm saying is, I think, again, we're looking at a $2,200 application, it may discourage people from wanting to do business in our community.
We haven't reviewed the language yet, and the board will have a chance to review it.
I got it,
if we
yeah.
come in.
All right, well,
I think what special land use does is it gives you an opportunity to say no. If you just have it acceptable, if it meets it, you can't deny it. So certain things, we do special land use. Outbuildings that are too big or infringe special land use. There's a reason why you have a special land use, is because you want to review one off, because it's not always what you think it is necessarily. So we'll have more discussion on that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have a couple pictures.
The planning commission hasn't discussed it really in that detail yet. Joe's coming in with some language.
Our planning, right now, we're just so busy to have more items that would encourage more us to be busier, it'd be hard, more special land use projects and things like that.
Depends on how comfortable you are with that kind of business.
Well, simple retail, I mean, there's one similar business right at the Romeo Theater.
Yeah, there's one right there in Washington and that, yeah. And there are places that have other ones that they're not so good. That was a good one. That's it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Who's that? Lisa, why don't you go?
Just a reminder that the Parks and Rec Commission meeting is tomorrow evening. It is here in Bruce Township tomorrow night
Really?
at 6 p.m.
For next year.
for the next year. And so it'll be our first meeting in Bruce Township in a while. And so it's a pretty good agenda. I suggest anybody is welcome to join us.
6:30?
6 p.m. We're trying to keep all of our meetings consistent time-wise. And we should be making recommendations as far as seeing how we go forward with the new commission members. So that's very exciting news. The other thing is just on a personal basis, with COVID constraints and everything coming to an end, I'm just being in the benefits arena. I wanted to let everybody know. There was a time when, at-home COVID tests were being paid for by the government, they were providing them to you. It is now something that's available through your insurance companies. Most insurances will cover at-home COVID-19 tests, but that's coming to an end, and it's at the beginning of May. I think it's somewhere between May 3rd and May 8th that comes to an end. So anybody who isn't stocked up on COVID-19 tests at home, if you feel the need to have them, you may want to look at.
Are you saying it's coming to an end,
That
that
the
insurance companies won't pay for it, or the government won't pay?
The government no longer pays for them. It's the insurance companies now that have been paying for them, but it's coming to the end that the insurance companies are no longer required to do that. So just wanted to make that announcement to people.
Thanks, Lisa. Frank, you got anything?
Yeah, March 31st, or February 28th was the last day of the 2022 tax year, and we just completed compiling all our information and sending it to the county. We collected over $20 million in tax revenue. We had like 2.5% of the residents were delinquent in their taxes, which is an improvement because I guess historically I've been told it's always 3 or 4%. And of that 2.5% that went delinquent, we probably got about $400,000 that's going to be coming back to the township. Of that $400,000, about 70 of it goes to the fire and ALS, and then about 15 remains with the township. So,
The rest goes to the school.
the rest was the schools, the libraries,
Everything.
everybody but us. And let's see, we have blood drive on June 1st, just as a reminder for everybody. So,
Thank you.
You guys approved the Queen subdivision on 35 Mile Road 2 for site plan for the Mills property.
Oh, yes, we did.
Queens
Yeah, it's a
United
9, I
States.
think it's a 9-unit, and it was to zoning,
All current, all high density.
single family homes, 9 homes. There's a lot of wetlands, but all the homes, all the parcels meet the zoning requirements. It was pretty much flat. So another good thing, though, we got another development.
A lot of building going on in Bruce Township.
We didn't have to argue with anyone about rezoning.
Susan?
I have a question, Izzy. I think you're the one who brought up cars, our car vehicles.
Yes.
You wanted that on our agenda? Still want that? I didn't put it on because I 2 cars when they bought one.
Oh, we said we were gonna after a year's time, we were gonna renew it again, see how much usage both went, because we were really concerned about not having that second vehicle during the summer months, when we had the students
Right.
driving around.
Starting
so-
pretty soon.
So I guess it was probably more like was it an August timeframe that we were gonna readdress it?
August, September.
August, September timeframe, I thought. Does that ring a bell?
Well, we don't lease anymore, we own both of our vehicles, correct?
I personally, I think some days that they don't get used at all, and then there's some days they're gone all day.
You know,
You know what I mean?
now the summer's coming, you're gonna one to be out on the road.
Right. And then repairs, if one of them does go down for repairs, the repairs now can take anywhere from, Mike can vouch for this, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even longer. You know, without repairs.
Yeah, my son had repaired 10 weeks.
So there are gonna be 2 Bruce Township signs put up by the county on Van Dyke, one coming south and one coming north. You know, you see those when you enter the town, because they say Bruce Township, sometime soon.
With the Proud Heritage Land region.
Well, they put up the, you guys, Frank, nice job. You guys put up the other one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Purple Heart.
Purple Heart, but this is something the county, I applied for the county to
Thank you. Good work.
Because I noticed that other communities had them, well, why not Bruce Township?
Make
So
sure
they're putting up big green signs?
Well, you know, they're just little ones, they're cut out like this, and it just says Bruce Township.
Okay.
Make sure it's north of the sign on the pass on.
32,
The disc
30, yeah.
The big,
There one is
This boat.
otherwise you'll have more people on our logo.
Yeah.
And there's a May 2nd election for very few people in Bruce Township, I think 37 total, so,
Is that for our meeting?
Armada schools, yeah. It's gonna be a long, slow day. That's all for me.
Susan, excuse me, before you wrap it up, when's the next recycling?
May
10,
6th.
20.
Are you talking shredding, or are you talking?
Like the electronics recycling?
Electronics?
Oh.
Electronics is in October, but there is one coming up in May for just shredding.
Paper shredding, and when is
Yeah,
it?
I think it's May
20th, I think.
22nd. I posted it on Facebook.
You know.
And you guys have been really good about keeping the sign updated too, haven't you, out front? I see it when I drive by. so
Does it
that's
still
all.
blow over or no?
Does it blow
No,
over?
Mike, I think somebody.
Yeah. Kenny, I'm gonna give Kenny all the credit. May 20th is the next
There you go.
shred day.
Thank you.
That's just.
It's Saturday.
I cleaned out my basement.
It's not electronic.
It's the same day there's a recycle.
Yeah,
It's the same day as a
The regular,
recycle here, but
yeah.
this is at, the shredding is at Parks and Rec, 361 Morton Street.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
I have one item, it's just, I mean, there's gonna be like a M53 corridor meeting, it'll be on Monday at 10 o'clock. I just kind of got last minute notice that we are gonna have one here at 10 o'clock, and then at 1 o'clock, we're supposed to go up to Emily City to meet with some of the other members from Davis and MDOT up there. So we got some Macomb County, MDOT here, and then Davison up at 1 o'clock at the same time. So that's this coming Monday at 10 a.m. here.
What did they talk about, those?
Whatever, if you got some issues that you wanted to talk about?
I just wondered what they, is it just for community input?
Improving
Right,
53.
improve, right.
Yeah, wasn't it the big dip by south of the freeway, right? Things of that nature.
Yeah, well, traffic lights, things like that we're looking to try to get in. I mean, yeah, what their plans are, what they got on the agenda. Yeah. You know, maybe trying to get them to mow that triangle at 34 Mile and Van Dyke that just, you know, why they can't mow that traffic condition. But yeah, come on in, Mike.
So what communities will be there, from where to where?
Before it was everybody from here to Goodland Township, you know, which is pretty far north.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like they're splitting it up now. I'm not really sure. So I'm not really sure how many, last time we had a pretty good crowd in here. You know, we had it, you guys were here, you were here, Chief. Yeah, Frank was here. I don't know if we're gonna get that kind of crowd this time. Okay, that's all I got. And then thanks everybody for coming out.
Oh, I got one.
Oh. They said that before you got here. What about you, Chief? You got anything
Chief,
you
we
want?
sang and had cake.
No, that's all I had, yeah, I missed it.
Yeah, I missed the cake.
We saved you.
They're still in there, some in here.
Have to circle back.
Did you piece? I think there was 2 pieces left. for each one of you guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Eli, thanks. Appreciate it.
You didn't have a motion to.
Motion to adjourn?
Or
Support? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We had a meeting.